It is showtime. Hope everybody's doing okay. Making sure everything looks good here. If I seem a little frazzled, it's my mom's birthday today, and I meant to give her a call earlier, and I forgot about the show. And I thought, well, heck, I better, at least say happy birthday and everything. So I just talked to her a second ago. So happy birthday, mom! If you're watching, probably not. I think she was taking it easy though. Looks like somebody's really early today, Mr. Gerbic. Good to see you, man. you were here a while back. 'Cause I remember starting the stream and getting everything set up, and that was a while back. So thanks for coming, man. Uh, we got Eric's gonna be coming in here soon. Let me get invite to him. We do have to. We're gonna wrap it up a little earlier than we usually do. He has to jet at 10:15 tonight, so unfortunately, we will have to go through the motion. But we usually, we always have a lot of chit chat on the side as it is anyway. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal to even take our time and get through everything. The Looks like Cohen's here. Good to see you, man. What you sipping tonight, if anything? And anybody let me know what you're sipping tonight, just out of curiosity. Hammer, don't hurt him. That's right. Good to see you, man. How you? Are you in the oil rig tonight? Hopefully, if you are, you're doing all right. Did you do a Glen Grant 15 review on YouTube? Yes, I did a long time ago. And I will definitely get into the weeds with you on that. It's going to be a fun show to do. And yes, if you're interested in more details, then you'll have to take a look at the do a little search on Glen Grant 15 Telex, and I guarantee it'll come up with the review on it. And has been a while back. I will give some other thoughts on that whiskey tonight, so definitely stay tuned. I could stay a little bit. That's fine. I'm not gonna make it ultra crazy late or anything, but I might hang out for a while with you guys. Just finally found a blue spot in Wyoming. Dang, that's crazy. Peter's having the Glen 2021, and we got Mr. Puff Puff the Magic Dragon here. Do you live by the sea?
If you call Lake Michigan the sea, then yeah.
I consider it pretty close, man. That's a pretty big body of water.
It is a pretty big body of water. This is true, man. How are you, Telex? It's great to see you. You are this is my first whiskey stream officially as a man, a 40-year-old man. I turned 40 over the weekend, and so I've been
Happy birthday, man. That's awesome.
It's been great, and it has been it's been a fun couple days. I was reminded of what a 2-day hangover is like.
So. Oh, no. It's funny.
How that goes, man.
It's funny. I was telling the guys it's my mom's birthday tonight, so it's a birthday weekend.
Right. Fantastic, dude. How are you?
Pretty decent. A lot better now. It's been a rough couple of days. Work's always insane. This time of year, things are ramping up, and everyone's trying to get all their stuff done before everyone leaves in December. But with that said, I mean, first world problems. It's all I can say.
That's right, definitely. I hear you.
But what about you? You've been busy at work, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, back at it this week, man. Everything's been chill.
Grab anything new whiskey wise?
I have. Tell me.
Sorry to bring it up, but I gotta know.
2 things to share, and one of them has everything to do with the last show we did and our absolute love and adoration for a certain 17-year-old whiskey from Ben Riach.
Ooh.
So I did a little bit of hunting, Telex, and I came across and finally got myself a bottle.
Oh no! Don't say it's the Solstice, man. Did you get the Solstice? Oh, the 21.
I do have the Solstice. I do have the
Temporis. You get the Solstice and the Temporis. Oh my gosh!
21-year-old peated Ben Riach.
Missy.
4 maturations on this: bourbon, virgin oak, Oloroso, and PX.
Dude, that's one I've never tried before. I've always wanted to try something like that, man. Oh my god!
You've got a friend, because I'll be sending one your way, man.
I was gonna say I might have to suck it up and just send you a care package.
Yeah, I mean, I do have the Solstice here too.
That's a glorious story.
Yeah, I got
17. the septendecim, the solstice, and the temporis, man. That those are just like magical words.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'll have to open this. And then I got one more. And this one, I don't know what to think about it yet. I haven't opened it, but bro.
Ooh.
Check this out.
You seem intrigued. Oh,
this,
is it the?
This
is that what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that? Oh, that's different. I thought it was going to be the Debilia Dram, but that's not. That's something different. What is that?
This is the just released Tamdu cigar malt.
Oh,
first release.
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls.
It's a cask strength, 53.8%.
I'm gonna cry,
dude.
That I bet is glorious. Look at the color on that sucker, man.
Yeah, I'm really excited to open this one up. I'm curious.
Do they say no filtering, no filter?
Yeah,
do they say anything about the color, no chill filter? Awesome,
it's
man.
Non-chill filtered natural color. It says it on the label. It's all first fill European oak Oloroso.
May I dare ask the price?
More than I should have paid. It's probably $200.
That's not surprising with these real specialty releases like that, because that's not one you're going to find on the shelf in any. I mean, it's hard enough to find Tamdu in the store anywhere, but to find a dram that,
it's double the price of the cask strength. So I don't know what to think about it. I saw it, man, and I was like, oh snap! I love that. It becomes such insider knowledge, but that Tamdu Batch 5 cask strength is going to be in my top 5 whiskeys of the year for sure. And I decided to fuck it. I'm going to splurge. Let's see what they do with a cigar malt. And so,
if you see the Debilia Dram, I'd grab that one too, man. Debilia Drams, if you're like a spicy bomb, it's definitely a spice bomb.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. These were both. I found them on a UK website, and you can't find this temporis anywhere anymore. So I was like, fuck, I gotta get a bottle of this one, man. No, the Tamdu was not in the US. It's a UK bottling.
Me too.
I think I paid probably, it was like $200, but a couple little birthday treats. I want to thanks James Chang and Trooper and folks for the happy birthdays. I appreciate that, man. It's great to hang out with y'all tonight. But yeah, those are the two that I got. Well, I did get one other thing.
He splurged.
This is from my brother. I got this on my birthday. This is the Old Forester birthday bourbon. These are
nice.
Heavily allocated, like super hard to get. This is they're 12 years old. It's absolutely killer.
Looks pretty good, yeah.
Oh, it's it's definitely the best Old Forester I've ever had by far.
I can imagine.
So I got that as well, and it's a good one. So got a couple good bottles.
Awesome deal. Yeah, I do have my Island 2. I might pick up. I'm looking at a Bladnock. It's a 25-year-old Talia, which is it's a cask strength one too. So I'm thinking about splurging to get that one. That one's definitely not a cheap dram, but I'm also gonna I'm gonna go 225 and pick up the Glenfarclas 25, even though I know it's it's got its issues. It sometimes can be sulfuric. You got batch variation.
The regular one?
Yeah, I think I might pull the trigger. I know, man, but I can't afford some of these crazy family casts that it costs to get the really good Glenfarclas.
No, I agree with you, but look, man,
I'm trying to get the best Glenfarclas distillery bottle I can get. I've got the 17, which I did enjoy. Of course, the 15, which is that really off the wall one. If you can find it, it's really good. But
yeah, the 15 I think is probably even better. Dude, yeah.
I know it's painful.
Why is it against it? I'm saying like it's going to be the most tepid 25 you've had, but if I'll be, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I think
you have to let me know.
I don't think you're wrong, but the weird thing about that bottle is I've had great bottles and bad bottles of it. I think there's a lot of batch variation problems with the Glenfarclas 25. But it might have been because when you start out on your journey, you're used to certain like levels of drams, and the more you get into it, the more you invest. Therefore, the more complex and better options you get. I think that does take into account a lot of this stuff too. So it might be that I thought it was better when I was starting out.
Maybe I got it all wrong.
No, I'm not saying you got it wrong. I'm saying that.
No, I'm saying maybe I want to be wrong. because that's a great price 25-year-old. I want to be wrong.
I wish it was the Enoch 24. If I already didn't have that bottle, I would get another Enoch 24 for the same price.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah,
Easy, right? 220, 225. It's same price, but much better
yeah,
juice.
yeah, definitely.
All right, I guess let's get in this Glen Grant 12, man. You sent me the. Did you send me the 18 as well? Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes, you did. So I guess you start the setup for the. I'll start the setup for the 12, I guess, and have
Yeah.
you start? I don't know how that we should do it.
You can do the 12. And then I'll do the 18.
Okay, this 12 is well. Let's start with this Glen Grant in general.
Yeah.
They
Glen Grant.
Campari.
Glen Grant. Doesn't it just sound like a stuffy British novel? Like this is a hologram of Glen Grant. It just sounds so stuffy. I'm not hating on him for that. I'm just saying it has like a
Pretentiousness to it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
It does. It's funny. I was looking up, and I mean, I've heard about them over the years, but I never really looked into the behind the scenes stuff about them. And I didn't know Campari Group, which is like it's a one off. They also do Old Smuggler, but the only single malt that they own is the Glen Grant, which is it's been around for a while. I mean, 1860. So I mean, these guys have been around
I have
for.
1840.
Well, I mean, this group was founded. The Campari Group was 1860, but yeah, these guys go back to 1840. They must have, sold it like 20 whatever years afterward, and these guys picked them up since then. But
Sure.
they're not really well known, but they're in Milan, Italy, of all places too, which is interesting. They these guys are going to be more in just middle of the road, I'd say. They're not, the ones that like Glen Ord, Glen Spey, the ones you never hear about, but they're not as well known as like your Macallans and Glendronachs and thing like that. They're kind of like in the middle, I'd say.
Truth. Yeah. Yeah.
These guys are Space Side. This is a 12-year-old we're going to start with. Nothing much to say, sadly, in a positive sense on the craft. These guys are not really vocal about coloring or chill filtration. So I do know that you can get a travel retail version of the 12 that's not chill filtered, but you cannot get it outside of travel retail, which is really strange to me.
Really?
Yeah, it's very bizarre, man.
Okay.
So you got the regular 12, so you are going to be, looking at coloring and chill filtering, unfortunately. They at least get it to you at 43%. So that,
Yeah.
that's a bit of a little boost. They do give you a 12-year statement, so I mean it's not an NAS either. So it's they're 2 out of 4 for right now.
Okay.
This is a straightforward ex-bourbon cast. There's not a lot of information about this. Both the 12 and 18 are both ex-bourbon, pretty much straightforward, I believe.
Sure.
And it's a shame that they only offer the 12 non-chill filtration version with travel retail. If anyone knows the reasoning why, please let us know, because I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, I wonder what the Glen Grant. I mean, like, what's the release you can pick up here in the United States as like a young core range if it's not 12?
They have and this is a new thing, I believe, because I've never heard of this before. I was doing a little research on their regular Glen Grant distillery site. And they do have an NAS called the. I want to say I don't want to mess it up. I'm just going to take a quick look if I can here. It's like Arboretum. Let me get it right, because I don't want to tell you the wrong damn. They make you put in your birthday every damn time you go into these sites nowadays. It's crazy. I mean, I know the reasoning sort of, but geez, what like 15-year-old is going to take the time to look up Glen Grant on the website? Anyway. Let's see, products. Arboralis, yeah, Arboralis. They have a 10-year as well, so they kind of have the NAS, the Arboralis. They have a 10-year, 12-year, and we'll get into my feelings later on the 15. They have a cast strength 15 here.
Yeah.
And they have the 18, which we'll always be getting into, but that's kind of like their whole range, unless you get to like the 50-year-old exclusive kind of stuff. But
Sure. Yeah. Kind of an interesting distillery, man. They're like Ohio State. They're the Glen Grant. They emphasize the V part. And so here we have a 12-year-old, 43. It's chill filtered. It's fake colored, but it's a 12-year-old. And what did you pay? What's the price? Average on something like this?
let me make sure I give you the right thing. And I'm sorry for not having that already ready to go, but I can get it
Oh,
pretty
no worries,
quickly.
man.
It is going to be the 12 is 45 here in Maryland. It could be,
Sure.
a little bit less, a little bit more in different states, but here it's $44.99 to be exact. And the 18 here, I did get it here. I'm wondering if they actually maybe sold out of theirs. I don't think they had the price there, but we can talk about that part later. But yeah, I set it up. I guess go ahead and
Yeah, let's do it.
go through the motions here.
So the nose on this, immediately, it's Glenmorangie with a twist. There's orange, honeysuckle, some of those bright, vibrant kind of Bayside notes, apple. But there's a spice behind it, and it's, I don't know. I don't want to say astringent, but there's a spice behind it that I want to say is slightly cinnamon. Yeah, I mean that's really where I'm going. I mean it's butterscotch, honey, and apple and cinnamon. That's really what I get on the nose here. And all in all, like I like it. It's a nice, pleasurable nose. It reminds me of like a Glenmorangie 10, or if you spiced up maybe like a weaker version of like a Glenallachie 13.
Yeah, this has got
Vanilla notes too.
nice, really blend of fruits and florals and put together.
Yeah, there's some floral for sure, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, all the notes you came up with, those are the ones that I would go with as well. And I was just trying to think of anything else outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing really super intense or super complex or anything, but all in all, like nice. I think the uniqueness is coming from the sharp spice note, which is just not something you necessarily get out of these 12-year-old Spaysiders.
That's true. It's weird. I didn't enjoy the nose right off the bat, but after I let it sit out and get a little oxidation a little bit, it got a lot better. Huh. It's got a lot of fresh cut wood going on too.
Yeah.
Sprightly.
I wonder if that's what that spice is. I mean, I'm really interested to see if that's where this goes.
It's a tough call. I was almost thinking there might be like a pickled ginger note in there somewhere too, but it's got some. It does
quite
fall.
Get that, but I hear what you're saying. I see what you mean by that, but I don't quite get it in enough of a way.
It's very subtle. Like all these things that I'm picking out are extremely subtle. Nothing's like standing out. The only thing that stands out to me is definitely the fruit and that fresh cut wood, and then the slight florals on the side. That's like the major thing that I'm getting. Overall, though, man, really pleasant. Nothing better or stringent. I mean,
totally pleasant. Nothing really to sneeze at. It's got a little character. Let's give this bad boy a taste, man. Slaunch.
Yeah, the legs look like it runs pretty well. Mouth coat's not as thin as Glengoyne, thankfully. Medium though, not heavy.
Oh wow!
Especially for 43%, I'm surprised of how heavy it. It doesn't feel heavy, but it feels heavier than 43.
It does. Wow. Huh. Wow, does that got an aggressive spice hit?
It's got a bite.
A serious bite.
What would you call that spicy note?
I mean, to me, it's okay. You know that the heat you get off of like Chinese mustard? You get
Yeah.
with Chinese food. It's that. It's not the flavor of it, but it's the intensity
The
level.
zest, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's the intensity level.
It's a zesty 12-year-old, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's the finish is interesting. You get a nice milk chocolate, kind of butterscotch. There's a little
A
bit
lot
of
of
apple,
butterscotch.
creamy. It's got a creaminess to it. Medium finish. Not at all that bad. Um, hmm.
It's almost got like what is that? I don't know if it's like cola or some sort of like
The effervescence. Is that what you're going for?
yeah, it's not carbonated, of course, but it's almost got like a almost like a sugary aftertaste. It's
Like a sugar daddy. You ever had that get
yeah.
before? That caramel, like very over sugary. Yeah.
The aftertaste of the sugar daddy. It's funny because you get some caramelization off the taste, but it's not as in your face until you get to the finish, and then it's got that kind of dinky caramel aftertaste kind of thing.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's anything. Hmm.
There's a little
Definitely
bit
a
of
lot
a
of wood.
malted milk, like vanilla malt taste to it, like a vanilla malt, like the milk, the dessert.
Like a Whopper middle section,
Yeah, like a Whopper. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna do a little water too, actually.
without the chocolate part as much. Yeah, there's like a subtle cola chocolatey note, but it's very very subtle. I'm not sure how to call it other than that. But yeah, I'm just gonna do like it's 43, so I'm just gonna do like one
Yeah,
or
just
two
a little bit.
drops. Gotta get a drop here first. There we go. One more. There we go. On a 12, might not change very much, but it might bring
Yeah,
out some
maybe a
spice.
little bit more of a lemon lime, but not like
Ooh,
it's balanced things a little bit, but I get
you're
a
right. I
little,
got citrus as the first note off
yeah,
the
it's a
nose.
bit more of a lemon emphasis on the lemon.
Definitely lemon. Yeah, I don't get any oranges, but lemon lime are the first two things after the water, at least. Wow,
Yeah.
that's surprising because typically, I mean, it might change in the palate, but usually it brings more spicy notes out on water after water.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm gonna go in for a taste too. Eventually.
I hear you. Oh yeah, that. Tell me what you think after the water on the palate. I got a bit of a change. I'm just trying to decide what I think about it.
I mean, that spice note is still there. It's still
Yeah,
intense.
it almost
You get
brought
a
like
little bit more like a little bit more of. It is weird as it's not like a little bit more of like a pina colada, like a pineapple juice, like a rounded off pineapple juice.
yeah, it's like
And apricot. That's the other big one.
very dry apricot. Yeah.
Yeah, like those you buy those at the store. They're like the dried out apricots. Yeah.
Wow. Did you get? I mean, like ultra dried out after that. Wow. It almost like takes all the
Yeah,
moisture out of your palate.
and
It's
the
crazy.
finish seems to have shortened up a bit, but I'm left with a nice kind of like a mocha coffee. You ever a cafe mocha?
Yeah. I'm gonna try a little bit more just to see. Hmm. Who should go final thoughts first on this one?
Well, I'll go because it was your pour. I'm not quite there yet. Let me do one more sip.
Sure. I'm doing the same kind of thing. Neat, going back from the neat to from the water, and it's really it's tough because I mean this one is actually enjoyable both ways. I just the drying aspect after the water is the only thing that I'm kind of like not sure how down I'm about that with that.
And well, the spice too. I mean, I can't quite nail down what that spice note is. Maybe it's a little bit of alcohol, but there's something. There's a nice vanilla. I mean, the bourbon cask stuff is all here. There's just this astringent spice. It almost borders on like, kind of just a little bit like an orange zest, like an orange, right? Like almost a little sour, the spice note, which is strange.
Yeah, that's why I kept going back to that pickled ginger thing. But you're right. It's not really pickled ginger. It's something else.
It's not quite there, but it's in that like wheelhouse where you're getting that like the sharp tartness, and then and the acidity. But it's not lemon. It's not orange. It's like kind of somewhere in there.
Like a stone fruit, maybe. Like a
I
don't know.
I don't know what the hell it is. I mean, it was more cinnamon, and I still taste a little bit of cinnamon, but that does not describe the entire spice here. I do wonder if it's just honestly some alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, with not a whole lot going on besides it being ex-bourbon and everything, it might have that, but
yeah,
thankfully the fruits and floral stuff I'm getting from it off the nose kind of keep it at bay. But yeah, there is something.
Yeah,
it's like mineral without being mineral. It's mineral without being bitter, if that makes a sense.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
I think I can wager some thoughts here.
All right, go ahead, man.
I don't really like it.
Yeah.
And I don't. There's no one thing about it that I don't like. I'm trying to think like, why would I buy this? And
right.
And the thing about it is like, if I wanted something a little like, I like how it dances around having some character for a space cider. Like this isn't a Glenlivet 12, but it's also not a Craigellachie 13, and I just think that they do it better. It's just kind of, it's a weird middle ground that gives me too much and not enough at the same time. And ultimately, I don't feel like it's boring. Like it's boring, even though it has a little bit of character. It's like it's just teasing you. I mean, I'm trying to think about like, when would I pour this? I wouldn't pour it for anybody. As even a newbie, I wouldn't be like, try this as an example of Scotch. There's just other ones. I mean, I'm thinking about an Enoch 12, which is, obviously a Highland, but similar. Like, I would pour that in a second over this. It just...
Even a Holland Park 12 even.
Yeah, I mean, it does have this nice kind of vanilla thing going, but like so many of these do. I feel like this is lost in the mix of some whiskeys that just do it better. Fucking Doublewood Balvenie. I'm not that impressed. It's forgettable immediately. I probably wouldn't think about this thing twice. But I like that it has a little character, but ultimately I don't feel like this passes the test of like, it's even really worth going out and trying. I don't think it's a good thing to try for a noob. I definitely don't think most of our Scotch friends out here who will really like, oh wow, I needed to try that in order to like expand my profile. Like,
no,
really coming here. I mean, I'm going to go with a 2.75 on this.
Wow, man, we're really close. I hate to echo what he says, but a lot of it is pretty spot on. The one thing I was after, I was reading the label to see if there's anything I was missing. One note that they talk about that now that they mentioned it on here, and after going back and forth with you, I think it's almond. It's got like an almond-esque kind of a feel to it. Maybe that's what we're
doing. No, I hear you, and I think when we get into the 18, you're going to hear me say almond a lot more. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much nailed it. It's funny, for 45, $50, you can get a lot of different scotch in 12 year to NAS, area. And there are some NASs that can rival some 12-year-olds out there I've had in the past. One of them that comes to mind is like the Glen Scotia's got the double oak, and so does the Deanston's got the virgin oak, things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
it just gets washed out in the mix, man. I don't know.
yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's got like I do appreciate the fruit floral combo, um, and I do appreciate the citrus and the almond kind of notes, but man, is it really drying with the water? And at 43%, the craft is just horrible on this without any, when you're dealing with the coloring and the chill filtering. Thank God we do have an age statement in, at 43, it's kind of still borderline iffy. I would much rather see it at 46 or higher. I,
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, I'm a 2.5 with this one, and that's being very generous.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate to be a bearer of brand, bad news on this one, but yeah, I will definitely tell you guys which bottle to get after we take a look at this next one, and it might surprise you what I pick as far as Glen Grant.
Yeah. You and you mentioned earlier the 15-year-old cast strength, and that intrigues me.
Yeah, we'll
Much more.
talk about that one after we do this
Okay.
18.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, I just um,
It's just too bad they didn't have like a special cask at least to throw at you, like a sherry or some sort of like Rioja or something, Barolo, something a little bit different. Because for $45, it's like you think they'd at least, I don't know, give you 46%, or no color, no chill filters. Give me something else besides here's a 12-year-old Scotch that has some nice fruit in
yeah.
it.
And to be completely honest with you, like when I thought about this, I'm trying to think about it from the perspective, and you and I think, do a really good job with this of trying to be like, yeah, you and I've been drinking scotch for a long time, but there are plenty of people that haven't. And I'm thinking about what would it have been like 5 years ago if you would have poured this for me, and I would have probably said, and that's exactly what I feel now. This is a meh whiskey in every sense. I it has a little character. Like if you took the spice out of this, I don't even know where this would fall. But it has a little bit of this edge, but it doesn't even come well. It's overhanded. It's imbalanced.
Without the spice, it'd be monkey shoulder, basically.
You nailed it. It just it would not. It's the only, and here's the thing. The uniqueness of this isn't even that great because I can't determine whether or not it's alcohol or it's like something else, but at least it's there. Like something. I don't know if it's because it's bad or good. Maybe we're being generous, but yeah, I don't know. So 2.75 from Malt Muser, 2.5 from Telex, Glen Grant 12. Probably something y'all can avoid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think, like you said, what would be the reason that you would, I mean, I guess if I had somebody that was really in love with the Dalwhinnie 15 and really loved maybe like the Benedict 10, just entry level stuff, and that's really all they liked. They didn't like any sherry, they didn't like any peat, they didn't like anything else but besides that like niche. Then I might say, well, if you want to color outside the lines a little bit, and if you don't mind, investing 45, $50 in the whiskey, maybe try it. If you like, you have to like almonds a lot though.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very almondy in the end, I think, but I don't know what that note is.
It's like you like manzanilla. Well, here's diet manzanilla.
Exactly. Oh man, that's one of the best comparisons I've heard in a long time.
Well, it's like, oh, do you like Radiohead? Here's Coldplay.
Oh God.
Here's some diet Radiohead in every worst possible way. Can you make my life? Can you make good music more generic? Here you go.
Oh man, Coldplay has some like their first album or two were okay, but yeah, after that it was
The
like
point stands, though. Yeah.
exactly. You're right. It's like you can have Tool or you can have Chevelle. Which one are you gonna take? I'll take Tool every day of the week, every time.
Totally, man. Totally. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's weird. It's a weird whiskey. It doesn't fit in anywhere, and it doesn't do anything much.
Yeah.
The 275 from me, 25 from Telex. Glen Grant 12. Don't waste your time.
Save your money and get Monkey Shoulder if you want a little spice.
Yeah.
If you want a little spice, what's a good whiskey that's around $40 that not just has fruit but has a little spice hint? That the Glencaddam 13 was a really good, well-priced dram.
That's more than $40 though.
Is it though?
Glencaddam 10. I mean, Enoch 12 is the one I think that would just, if you compared these two, even at 40%, if you get it at 40% in the UK, it's better.
That's true, man. Enoch is no joke. I hope to God Thai Bev in whatever they're called, in Inverhouse or whatever. I hope to God they don't mess with the brand Enoch, man. Please don't.
Stock up now. Stock up on your 18s and your Enoch 24s now, man.
Yeah, but leave some for us too, because we still like to buy it on occasion.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is going to be interesting to get into. I guess we should start getting into this 18.
Yeah, let's talk the 18. Okay, so here's the tail of the tape on the 18. First and foremost, this thing looks like it should be in The Shining.
Oh wow, that's
yeah.
Hold on. This is crazy. I've got the same whiskey. It's just a different box. Isn't that crazy?
You have the older one. This is the newer version.
Oh, okay.
You don't have this sticker on, which I'll talk about in just a second. Maybe you do. I don't know. Anyway, Glen Grant 18. This comes at around $130 USD. It is, of course, chill filtered. It is, of course, fake colored. It is 43%. All bourbon cask. Blah blah blah. They talk about how Major Grant did all this good stuff. The color schema is like a harkening back. Again, remember I was talking about Glen Grant sounds like some stuffy shit you'd see in the 1970s James Bond movie where he's in some UK palace and he's like, yes, give me a Glen Grant. Like that's what you drink. That's what it sounds like to me. And that's how it presents itself. I mean, look at this. This looks like it should be, it just is what it is. Interesting presentation to say the least. Yeah, here's the tail of the tape. So 43%, it's all bourbon cask. Here's what they say. Hand-selected ex-bourbon and remade hogshead. But again, I don't know what that means. 43%. This is non-chill, it's chill filtered. It has fake color. There's no doubt about it. This is around that $135 mark, I believe. And it is the Glen Grant. Again, they're Ohio State-esque, What is it? I'm trying to see if it has anything interesting to say. 1840. The Major was one of the first distillers in Scotland to introduce purifiers into the distillation process, further refining our whiskey to ensuring only the finest vapors condense into spirit. I mean, because John Q. Public is all about knowing about the vapors.
Oh my!
Vapors.
They do show you a little cute picture of the still there, though, with the pipe and all that.
Your bottle looks way more fancy than this. I mean, this looks like a much more. Besides the color, it's like a much.
This is all plastic. Like this is very light. It looks are very deceiving. This is all like just plastic. Nothing fancy really about it. Other than the hinge is nice, but that's like the only thing that I would, really even go into on that one.
Yeah, totally.
Wait, what sticker were you talking about?
For the folks who enjoy punching down in terms of gender, Whiskey Bible 2020 named this its Scotch of the Year.
2017.
This is a double award winner. I mean, this is literally the Jack Daniels of Scotch whiskey. If you're interested in being an alpha male douchebag, that's what's going on here. So, take that for what it's worth. A double winner. Fuck, man.
Wow.
Jim Murray, real big fan of the Glen Grant 18. Well, we'll see what Telex and I have to say about it.
Yeah, that's like the ultimate setup for just bash down, man.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna see. I have let me get some of this 18. I have some sitting in the glass. I'm gonna pour just a bit more in it because why not? I can't wait for this to be over. I was okay. So the reason I own this bottle, I was upsold this at a whiskey tasting, and I said the fuck it because they were selling it for less than 100, so I grabbed it. But this is about $135 US, 43% color, yes. Still filtering, yes. It's tired, but
this is also 43%, right?
Yes, 43%.
And this is all straightforward ex-bourbon, like always, right?
Yep. As far as I understand, it's all ex-bourbon. I mean, this is the color we're looking at for what it's worth.
That's all I could find out too. Was the same. Just hand-picked ex-bourbon cast. Nothing outside special other than that. Thanks for setting us up, man. I'll
let you go first, and we'll get into it.
Interesting. Okay. Huh. One big step up I have to give it credit for than the 12. In addition to the notes that we were getting off the 12, this one's got some, more like I'd say a combination between peaches, but something more stronger, like a nectarine. It's got like a nectarine in the nose.
That's fair.
It's got some more sugary. What do you call it? The starts with a C. Condensed kind of. What is that? That's like a powdery sugar kind of a nose. It's got more of a sweetness to it, outside of just your fruit and some of the florals. This has got a lot more sweetness in the nose itself.
Can I ask you something?
Go ahead.
Do you get graham crackers on this?
I think so.
You get a serious graham cracker note on it.
Yeah, it's like my biggest one was those peach to like nectarine, like real intense nectarine kind of thing. But then, that you mentioned, it does have this like crumble, like granola crumble kind of thing. Crumb. It's interesting.
I get so much of that. Like if you've ever had a pie with a graham cracker crust, like so much of that here.
Huh. I'm surprised that I don't really think about the nectarine note in the past. I've had this before, but the funny thing is, you mentioned that this bottle is different. So I'm trying Eric's version now, which is the newer version. And after I do this, I'll be
interested to hear
just to see if there's any differences. Because I don't remember this note being on the one that I did, but you know how that goes sometimes.
Yeah.
No, nothing really else. It's not any more woody, or it's not any more astringent, or it doesn't have anything.
That cider apple or cider cinnamon apple thing. It's a little stronger on this one, but
it's got like a sugariness, like those cinnamon twist sticks you can get at a Taco Bell.
Like a churro.
A churro, yeah. It's got a churro.
Arriba.
I swear, it's in there, dude. It's crazy. All right. Ready for a tasty two?
Mm-hmm.
It's got some nice legs on it.
Mm-hmm.
For 43%, I mean, it is what it is. The fruits, wow, okay. It's a bit of a letdown on the palate comparatively. The nose difference from 12 to 18 is a lot more broad to me than the palate, similarities between the 12 and the 18. What do you think?
I mean, I get this nice graham cracker note, which I really enjoy. It's like everything is sweetened. It's like earthy note. Let's sweeten it to graham cracker. Pear note. Or like apple note. Let's sweeten it to pear. It's very sweet. It's sugary, like you said. White chocolate, milk chocolate on this finish. It's a nice finish. It's going pretty long. The finish is hanging on. It's unoffensive. I feel like we're trying to describe the characters in like the Star Wars George Lucas remakes versus the original Star Wars, where it's like, who is Han Solo? Oh, he's this, and this. And then you're like, who is Qui-Gon Jinn? You know, like this is the Qui-Gon Jinn of Scotch whiskey. It's more like you're like, well,
better than Jar Jar at least.
Well, that's true. No, I'm not sure if that's true. At least we would know where we stand.
Me said no like
Dude,
sorry, man.
No, for real. You hit it. It's got a nice finish. I like the finish. The honey notes are big. The cinnamon is there. It's totally serviceable. And maybe I'm gonna be generous and say like there's this little spice herbal element that I feel like is giving us a little bit of character. Okay. Yeah. But that what do you got? What do you got?
This is I'm trying to be good because I almost brought it up like I was thinking of like a lady type thing, but I don't want to get into the weeds on that one. So that's a bad comparison.
Especially with those stickers on this, man. We don't want to feed the beast.
I don't. I stopped myself in my tracks. I was about to say this is kind of like a really bad tease, but you know what I mean? This is weird because you're right. This is like a misleading whiskey to me. Like when I first went from the 12 to 18 nose wise, I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, the nectarines are different. The graham crackers are more intense. I think we're gonna be on for a nice ride. And then you're right, man. You taste it, and it's got what you're saying. My big beef with it is everything is so borderline, like minuscule, barely readable. I mean, it's got a lot of little notes that are nice, but they're all like little basic taps. It's like you get into a fight and you know you don't want to get killed, but you want to fight. You don't want to like slap at each other. You know what I mean? You want,
Bro,
like,
dude, yeah.
the intensity to the dram. At 43% with the coloring and the chill filtration, it's just obvious that yes, they can get you good taste, but they don't have any passion in their craft.
No courage of their convictions. Dude, when you said deceptive, you hit the nail on the head. All of the subtlety in this, and this is a subtle whiskey, there is a lot of subtlety notes you pick up, but they're all boring. Like they're all just like what you expect them to be. There's nothing like really popping other than this graham cracker note. It has a nice finish. The mouthfeel is fine. It's a totally serviceable whiskey, but at 18 years old in this market, it's like
at that price,
where does this fall?
Oh,
you know,
the price is a killer, man. The price is a killer for one. It was like 140ish, right? 150, 140ish.
130.
I mean, for that price, think of all the beautiful drams you can get. This brings us full circle really to what I wanted to get down to was I got really lucky. My first Glen Grant experience was the 15 cast strength offering because I was in at the same time I got the Balakin number 4 Oloroso. I went to that Indian guy in DC. I wish I know the name of the facility.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I was like, I'm looking for a Glen Grant, and I don't want to go crazy, but I do want to get a nice one. He thankfully pointed me to that 15, and even though he had the 18, and it was a more expensive by like $30-$40, he thankfully pointed me into the direction of you got to go with a 15 cast strength because even though you don't have the age, the ABV alone is enough to give you more of an intense experience. Even it might not be as refined, and it might not be as complex per se, but the notes you get are not going to be half-assed. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
it really boils down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're going to get a Glen Grant, I would highly suggest, before you even get to the scores on this one, I still would definitely go 15
I have
cast
not had
strength.
that 15 cast strength. I've seen it. The price is better. It's like $70,
Exactly.
$40. Yeah.
It's a no-brainer on Glen Grant. If you're looking for a Glen Grant distillery bottle, because there are lots of great independents out there from El Delphi and other great companies. But if you're looking for a
Yeah.
distillery bottle to get, I would skip the 18 and I would definitely focus on that 15 cast strength all day, man.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
But
going back.
Sorry to get on the tangent there.
No, yeah, man. You feel free to go with your final thoughts when you're ready. I'm gonna sip on this a little bit more.
Let me add a little water to this, because I can't remember if I already did. Just in case I didn't, I want to give it its full.
Give it some more. Fuck it.
Give it a little bit.
I mean, what's it gonna do? Make it more banal? I don't know.
I mean, that's the sad thing about it. This has promise. I think if they were able to do this without coloring, without chill filtration, and if they got presented it to us at 46%, which is not much, I bet you this would be night and day better.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, man, but I also like let's. I will only mention this in passing. I'm trying to be objective, and the reality is that a lot of the 18-year-old whiskeys that you taste these days are 43%. Glengoyne, Glenmorangie, et cetera, et cetera. How does this stack up within the contemporary zeitgeist? You know, and like, I think ideally you're right. 46. Look, I don't. You and I could probably have this conversation all night. For me, I wish they didn't put fake color or chill filter fucking any whiskey. But if they're going to, I would rather have non-chill filtered colored whiskey than colored whiskey that's chill filtered. And that's, you know, that for me, that's where I fall on it. I think this could probably benefit from non-chill filtration.
Exactly.
It is what it is. I agree with you. This whiskey tastes as though it is uninspired.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of uninspiring whiskey out there. Is it the worst? Is it the best? I don't know.
Definitely not the worst, but definitely not the best.
No, you're right. I mean, this isn't Dalmore.
No, I mean, it's not Dalmore, but with the craft being as bad as it is, it's borderline Dalmore, man. It really is. I mean, and Dalmore's got some nice tasting whiskey. Like the 18 is not a bad taste. It's just for the amount of money you're paying for the little care and the craft that you're getting out of it. It's not worth it. I
totally agree with you. And I think
to me, it's insulting to me as a consumer that you're going to do all this and go through all this crap and try to get somebody's button on it and all that. Because if they took the time that they probably put into the design and the buttons and all that shit and just didn't color it and didn't chill filter it, that would have been enough probably to give it at least a star or a half a star boost, you know?
Yeah. So I just thought about something. Before we score this,
definitely disappear. Definitely try that one.
I want to see if I can bring up Jim Murray's review. So this was a 97 from Jim Murray. I want to just bring this up. This is 2020 bottling, $130 at K&L Wine and Spirits. He said it was the hang on. It's the 16th edition.
I might have to agree with Cohen on that one.
He says that this kind of consistency is absolutely remarkable and completely unmatched. Even the most coveted bourbons in the world don't manage to keep the same brand atop this list, blah, blah, blah. Murray's accolades aside, when we tasted, okay, blah, blah. We went nuts for it, says K&L. Loaded with cream, caramel, vanilla, beeswax, honey, granola, citrus fruit. This gram is perfectly balanced. The palate adds spice and a touch of wood tannin at the finish with a big flourish, changing incrementally with every sip. It's hard.
There was no flourish.
It's hard to see how you might conclude this is some of the best juice available. If you take into account the spectacular pricing, it's even easier to rank this amongst the best of the best. Telex, that is what K&L Wine and Spirits has to say about the Glen Grant 18-year-old. What do you have to say?
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to use musical terms here for you guys that know music, okay? This is serious. A flourish is when you're playing, you're getting a riff and you're jamming, and you got like it's not really a lead solo, but you got like a little, like a fill, like a drum fill, or like a lick that you play on guitar. And I think of a great flourish, I think of something from like a prog rock kind of thing, from like Yes, Genesis, King Crimson, something very intricate. It's got maybe a time signature change. It's got some intensity. It might have dynamic changes. Those are definitely necessary in music. This has all low soft rock notes to it. It has no flourish. This is Barry Manilow in the 70s with nothing else but just, I mean, it's like Copacabana, dude. It doesn't have any lead anything. It doesn't have any fills. It's just straight up verse, chorus, end.
So before you give your final score, do you want to hear a quote from Jim Murray about this whiskey?
I'm afraid.
Actual quote. This 18-year-old from Glen Grant has all the characteristics of a modern Speyside. Smooth, exuberant, and well-balanced. The nose has delicate floral and vanilla notes with wood and sweet spices. The palate is refined and with carameled cereals, raisins, and more vanilla before a long and nutty finish, says Jim Murray. And then he said,
there were no nuts involved other than an almond or two.
Wait. This gets better. The most crystalline, technically sublime Speysider I have tasted in a long time. Another Glen Grant knocking on the door of perfection.
God bless. This guy needs to get paid by Glen Grant. I swear to God. Because that is like the craziest thing I've ever heard. I mean, Ball Blair is not even a Speyside. It's a Highland. And it's got more fruit and pizzazz than these guys ever thought of having. I'm just telling you. It's crazy. Anyway, I mean, like I said, this has got some good notes to it. The 18. With that said, though, they're so delicate and soft rock without any flourish. It's just what's the word? Homogenized. I can't even say it. It's like pasteurized, filtered, just basic, the most basic 18-year-old dram you can get. For the price, it's crazy. I think this should be around $90 to $100, to be honest with you. And that's even like at my top level, like 100 is like the most I would ever spend for a whiskey like that. 43%. I just don't like that aspect of the color chill filtration either. I'm going to give it also a 2.5. I hate to say it, but it's just
2.5. Wow.
I just don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to raise it like a little bit because it is better than the 12. It is more complex, but it has no difference of dynamics. It's not like the Pixies where you listen to a song and you can hear the subtle stuff. And then
no way.
Exactly. You need a little more oomph. And the only dram that Glen Grant gives you that has that you were looking for is that 15-year-old cast strength. I'm telling you. Only one. So what do you think, man?
Well, 2.5 from Telex. I'm going to be a little bit more bullish on this.
No, I said 2.75 actually. I gave it a little bit of a
2.75. So we got a 2.75 from Telex. I think this is an incredibly muted, somewhat boring banal whiskey, but it has a really nice finish. I like that it has a little bit of character. I like that it's I don't know where it falls. It's not a Glenlivet. It's not a Glenlivet Speysider, but it's not a Craig Ellicky either.
God no.
It's like somewhere in the middle, and it's not enough of one and or the other at any given time. But I think it's incredibly competent. It's somewhat enjoyable, easy sipper. I'm not sure how many times I would reach for it, but I also feel like I'd reach for it when I don't know what the hell I want, and I'm just going to sip on this until I know what I really want to drink. And maybe that's not a great endorsement for an 18-year-old whiskey, but I think this whiskey, by and large, meets the standard of what you expect from an 18-year-old. I wish the price was better, but in this day and age, $130 is probably on the low end for an 18, and that's sad but true. There are plenty of whiskeys that I would choose over it that are younger and more vibrant and more punchy. But for a relaxed, kind of just chill whiskey, it ain't the worst thing I've had. I'm going to be a bit more bullish on this. I'm going to go 325.
Wow,
So,
man.
I think it's slightly. I think it beats the average, but not by much.
Let me ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a chance to have the Dalmore 18?
Mm-mm.
Okay. If you ever get it, I'm definitely not saying buy it, and I'm definitely not saying buying it. I'm definitely not saying buying it 220 by any means.
There's no way it beats this. It's 40% already.
Oh, dude, you'd be surprised. I was lucky. Unfortunately, in Maryland, they sell it for like some crazy amount for like 220, which is way too fucking high. I was lucky enough to get it at 130, which is an actual reasonable price for it, and it actually is, believe it or not, a lot better than this Glen Grant 18, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying it's the best 18 by any means out there. It's got issues because it's got craft issues, but as far as like having more complexity, a little more intensity, and a little more play with the water, I think people, if you can get the price right, definitely do not spend above 150 on a Dalmore 18 on any day. But if you can get it for the same price as this, I am curious to see what people would think, versus wise on these two.
Yeah, but isn't the Dalmore's sherry?
I mean, that's the thing. They give you that's what makes it a little bit better to me, is I get a little bit more for my dollar.
But like, okay, let me ask you this: where would this compare with you with like a Glenfiddich 18?
Ooh.
Or a Glenlivet? I mean, Glenlivet 18 before they went to 40%, and they were at 43. I mean, I think the Glenlivet 18 blew this out of the water. But
1 second. Let me think about this for 1 second. So you started though with the Glenfiddich.
Yeah, Glenfiddich 18. I mean, you're talking sherry bourbon, but like again, we're talking like wheelhouse price range.
I'm trying to think if I've had. It's funny with Glenfiddich. I've had the 12 often, the Solera, which is the 15 often. I don't know if I've ever had their 18. I definitely have had their 21 and some of their older stuff. They're at 40% ABV. That's really low. I would not like that. I'm sure it would probably be a very thin mouth coat, but they do have the Oloroso sherry and the bourbon cask on the 18. I can't honestly, I don't remember having that specifically, so I can't speak to this versus that. But the Glenlivet 18, let me take a quick look. Now this is funny. If you're measuring this with the old Glenlivet 18, I think I would definitely like to have the old Glenlivet 18 better. The new Glenlivet 18 versus this, it's really close to me.
Would you buy a bottle of this for $100?
This one?
Yeah.
The 18 for 100? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like if I was just wanting to get some 18-year-old whiskeys out there, then yes, I would take the jump and do it. I mean, because obviously I did for this. But
how would you rank this against a Glenmorangie 18?
For $100, if I had $100, I would get an Ardbeg Ugadal. I would get something completely different.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean,
the price.
But like, if you're looking at like you want an 18-year-old refined space idol, would you buy this for a? Would you buy this over a Glenmorangie 18? I mean, I know Glenmorangie's Highland. You know what I'm talking about.
The Glenmorangie 18 and this is very close, man. Let me look at one thing before I make a determination on that, because that's a good comparison if you're looking at different whiskeys like this in the same caliber.
Hang on a second.
And it's similar price too.
While you look it up.
Gouge away. You can gouge away. Stay all day.
If you want to.
Yes. This is not a Pixies whiskey.
Oh man! All right. Oh wow. You've lost it. All right. 43%, Glenmorangie 18. See, it's got the ex Oloroso sherry, and that to me, I would go for the Glenmorangie 18 over this one because of that sherry.
I agree with you, but the 43% are not that 40%.
No, the Glenmorangie 18 is at 43.
Oh yeah, okay.
That one I would do. The one
I
that
agree
the
with you.
Glenfiddich 18, if it's only 40, I probably would not like it as
I
much.
agree with you. I agree with you completely.
It's a tough one, but I do like the fact that they have the ex bourbon and ex Oloroso sherry with Glenmorangie 18. I think it's actually cheaper. You can get that one for definitely $100.
I've heard
This
that. Yeah.
one
I've heard
is
that.
like,
Yeah. That new 12 illicit still is supposed to be good, but I agree with you.
oh yeah,
Glenmorangie 18, I would take over this in a heartbeat.
and it's cheaper. It's $100 versus 130. 120 to 130 for this one. So I mean, it's that's what kills me on this. Even though the craft is about the same with the coloring chill filtration, probably on the Glenmorangie 18. I can't remember if it's got any details on that, but but at least we know that they give you a little bit of more of a cask influence on it and not just straight up ex bourbon. But
so we got a 275 out of Telex and a 325 out of me on the Glen Grant 18, and then on the Glen Grant 12, a 25 out of Telex and a 275 out of Malt Muser. So take that for what it's worth, y'all. Glen Grant, it is what it is. If it's a jam, it's a jam. Telex, as I mentioned to you, and then I mentioned on my show, I'm going to be off next week, but I'll be back the week of Thanksgiving. But you'll be on next week, but not be around the week of Thanksgiving. So you and I may reconvene for a Ben Romick show, maybe end of November, early December.
that'd be cool, man. Just let me know whenever you can do it. And we got 3 that we got set up for that show in particular.
Well, I'm
That'll
looking
be
forward to it, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think Ben Romick is the poor man's Springbank, and it is and I mean poor man in the most charitable way possible. We are
I'm gonna definitely call that the Ben Romick blowout.
in the Marxist-Leninist sense, we are all proletarians, so we will have a great time doing that. I'm going to sign off here, man. I got to get ready for some stuff, but my man, if I don't talk to you beforehand, have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a wonderful Thanksgiving to everybody else. If you are in the United States, for our Canadian friends, have a good November. And, I'll be back in 2 weeks from today. And with that, I'm going to drink the rest of this 18 and lament on how I wish it was a better whiskey.
All right, man. Take it easy. Sláinte, man.
Take good care.
Oh man, he's too funny. I'll stay on for a bit with you guys to see how things are going. Cohen, what you sipping now, man? I'm just curious. I think I'll stay away from the sherry cask this year. Hold on, stay away from what sherry cask? I'm just curious of what you're talking about. Not every sherry is sweet. That's not the case. There's lots of different types. Primarily, if you don't like sweet sherry, which is your PX stuff, you want the Oloroso, and that's a lot more dry and savory typically. And it also depends on the dram. If you're looking for a very savory, and if you don't mind peat, that new Lafroig Sherry Oak 12 is definitely all savory. There's no sweetness in that dram that I ever got. We'll put it that way. So I'm not sure which one you're talking about. You'll have to be a little more descriptive, and I'll try to help you as much as I can. Most sherry is a very dry wine. Well, I don't know if I'd say most. I mean, there's the Fino stuff is definitely a more dry. PX doesn't really give me dryness, thankfully. Oloroso can have. I've had both sides, dry and not so dry. PX definitely not any dryness that I can remember. Fino definitely, but I still like Fino sometimes. That Lafroig Fino cask was amazing at Carriages. That's some other Finos too over time. I think the Ardbeg Ardbog was a Mazzania casks. I'm trying to remember if it had. I think it had Fino sherry though too with it, which is dry, acidic, and salty if I remember correctly. But yeah, he will talk Kinkers or something. The $179 Senatori. Ooh, Sounds good. I try a non-sweet sherry cask. Definitely go for I would say Oloroso or Fino. Those two are definitely not as sweet. They're more savory. Fino is more dry, acidic, salty one. Um, the PX is your sweetest. Definitely stay away from that. Oloroso is usually dry and savory, but there are some sweet Olorosos. You got to be careful about that. Oloroso, sorry, yeah, I'll type it out. Oloroso. That's the one that is, definitely, I'd say less sweet than PX. Also, look for Fino. Um, maybe that's also an option. Not too much peat. Well, if you don't like peat, I don't know. Lefroy might not be your game, but that Sherry Oak 10, 12 year, that's a pretty good one. Jin Jun Mei tea from China. Oh my god, dude. What the hell is that? I'm, I'm gonna have to look that up. That's crazy, dude. Jin Mei tea. Oh, it is a thing. I knew you wouldn't steer me wrong, but wow, man, that looks interesting. It's a celebrated black tea from the Hui Mountains of Fujian. I know I'm butchering the pronunciation. Province, China, developed in 2006 by Mr. Zhang Yongzun. It is made exclusively from the buds plucked in the early spring from the tea plant. Interesting. Okay. It's very specific. What do you think of it? Is it a good tea? Bad tea? I do like black tea. Only one I know in black tea is the Lapsang Souchong stuff that I get from like Lagavulin sometimes. But he's drinking that tea last week too. Must be good if he's sipping on that a lot. Hepburn's Choice Cast Strength. Okay. Trying to find scotch. Yes, yes, but that's scotch with the yes, you can get Oloroso casks with scotch. Yes, um, there's lots and lots out there. You need to start. It sounds like since you don't like peat that much and you're kind of getting into it. I would start with man a good I would maybe start with if you're looking for something that you can get in for like $35 or so, a basic Oloroso Scotch would be the Naked Grouse. Look for the Naked Grouse. Uh, that's what I would start with first. Then maybe a Glendronach 12. I'll type this out so you've got it in the chat that you can. I would start with Naked Grouse, see what you think about that. If you're cool with that, invest a little more and get the Glendronach 12. That would be your, I think, first good start in Oloroso with Scotch. Drinking the same tea and may sleep some days. This is strong. Too tannic. I'm drinking it. I think he meant often because if he had it last week, tannins are tough, man. Have some Sinshot tea. It's good. Oh wow. I don't know Jack Diddley about tea. I love Chinese black. Yeah. How about Holland Park 12? Not too much peat or Bunnahabhain 12. Yeah. Bunnahabhain 12, I would say would be your best shot if you're avoiding peat. Bunnahabhain 12. That's a sherry forward scotch that's not, I mean, if there's any peat at all in it, it's like 3 ppm most. Highland Park 12 has a heathery peat. It's like a burnt matchstick. If you can handle that, then get the Highland Park 12. If you don't like peat at all and you try to avoid it, then go for the Bunnahabhain 12, I'd say. What do you do with all your disappointing bottles? Drink them when you are in a sour mood, pour them for guests, or make a blend out of it. Honestly, it's really all of the above, depending on the situation. Disappointing bottle. I mean, that's kind of a tough thing. Some of them I would maybe say are disappointing, but I mean, when you get something like the one bottle that's way up there, that one right there is an Altavania. It's a distillery bottle. It's peated, but it's a space side, which is kind of off the wall. It's not bad. It's not great. I would much rather drink the Torveg or definitely the Ardnamurchan. Ardnamurchan is like one of my favorite new. I want to try the Ardnahof before I make my Ardnamurchan my favorite new peated dram that's brand new. Hopefully the Ardnahof guys can get me a sample. I've heard their new make is to die for. Haven't ever tried it. Had some friends that tried it and loved it. But with that said, the Altavania is one of those bottles where I've got like a half of it left, and it's not something that I'm going to pour out for myself very often. Well, I drink it in a sour mood. I don't know if I'd say sour. What I tend to like to do with those bottles is once I've already had, we've already been drinking tonight a bit. We've already had a dram or two of the 12. We've already had a dram or two of the 18. I'm still kind of sipping a little bit on this. It's a great end of the night dram if you still want to drink a little bit, but your palate and your nose and your whole demeanor is just kind of off because you've had a bit to drink. That's one to like actually, that's when you pour your more not so impressive bottles because you're not going to get all the notes that you are going to try. You know what I'm trying to say. It's just not going to be there for you anyway. So you might as well pour something that's not as great at the end of the night. I know it sounds weird because you want to finish on a better bottle, but once you've had a lot and you've done nose palate finish 4 or 5 times, you're not going to get much out of it anyway. So I would look at it that way. Guests, I would say it's a great bottle. I'm speaking still of the Altavania. It's a great bottle for someone just starting on a peat because it's so minimal. It's not much, and it's not like Lefroy Ardbeg level. It's like, what do you think about this? It's a good bottle just to see what people's reaction would be. If they react completely negatively to it, you might want to wait on giving them Ardbeg or Lefroy. If they're kind of like, it's intriguing. It's not really my thing, but it's not horrible. That's when you break out your Ardbeg Ugadal or something, that you think would really wow a guest. Um, Making a blend. Now that's another thing that you got to take into account of what you're dealing with. That's a peated malt. It's very young, 3 to 4 years old. Peated. Not a bad malt, not sour or bitter, but not really much going on. I think it's like 43. I don't have the ABV memorized on that, but if I had to take a guess, it's probably going to be 43. Let me do a quick. Thankfully, I can do a quick search to find it. This one in particular is 40%, straight up 40. It's not even 43 or 46, so it's extremely mild. I would only use it in a blend if I was looking for that, just a basic young peated Scotch note. That doesn't come up very often, so it's not like a Scotch that I probably would end up using often in a blend per se. Um, but if I did have that in if I could balance it with a really good cheap sherry option, and maybe even something else to give it a little more character, like a Clownleash 14. If I just have a little bit extra to give it a little bit of a oomph, a little bit of that base note that you're looking for, that foundation. That's when a blend can come alive. Sorry to get detailed on you, but that's the way I would think about those kind of stuff. Zinjumi is May. Zinjume, I think is how you say it. Is mediocre. I've had better ones. Just trying to get rid of this one. It's open. The Tobermory finished mid-year. Fruit candy on the nose, but spicy on the palate. Are you talking about the 21? The 21 is a Tobermory that's got I think No, I'm thinking mezzanilla. Sorry, it's a mezzanilla cask. A Tobermory finished in Madeira. That sounds good. Fruit candy. That's the funny thing about Madeira. It's one of those dividing drams because if you don't like a sweet dram, like I like sweet drams, I like Madeira cask finishes and maturations and stuff like that. Some people don't get into it because they think it's too sweet. So take that to account when you're looking at the Madeira stuff. I like it a lot. I think it's cool. I don't know about the peat, just not too smoky. Yeah, peat and smoke, two different things. Peat is that effervescence, bite, sparkly sensation you get off of a dram. The smokiness is just that. It's more of the aftermath of the peat. The the peat can create like a peat smoke, basically. Think of it that way. There are drams out there that are very, very peaty and not very smoky. An Octomore gives me that feeling. It's very peat heavy, not a lot of smoke. There are drams out there that are very smoky that don't really have much peat in them. The McKellen Rare Cast Black is one that comes to mind. There's some Dalwhinnies out there. I think that aren't really peated, but they can have the Dalwhinnie Distillers Edition is one that can be not peated but still have smoke. So take that into account. Sounds interesting because I can find cheaper scotches way too sweet. Your suggestion sounds good. No, no problem, man. That's you got to start with what's your basics when you're thinking about scotch. If you want to stay away from peat and smoke or both, uh, the sherry thing, if you only like Oloroso sherry, that's fine. So it sounds like you need to stick to ex bourbon or ex bourbon slash Oloroso sherry finishes. Maybe a Fino on occasion, if since you don't like the sweetness. Definitely would not go to PX cask anytime if you don't like the sweetness. So Bunnahabhain, yeah, 12, great place to start when you're talking no peat, just nice sherried scotch that's great quality. The Bunnahabhain 12 is a really, really good. I wish it was more readily available out there. I usually drink Imperial grade. It's just, man, this one isn't. This is a mid grade at best. Wow. Okay. So you usually have a lot of tea. It sounds like that's cool, man. The new 12 cast strength official bottle would be $80 to $90 in the US. Where do I sign? Because that sounds beautiful. And I hope you're not just talking California prices, dude, because I know that if it's 80 or 90 in California, it's going to be 1 to 120 in Maryland sometimes, depending on the brand. And Glentronic is one of those. So Bunnahabhains are iffy. I'd like to see the new 12 cast strength official bottling. 80 or 90? I'd jump on that all day. That sounds well. How high are we talking cast strength? Like 55%? Or are we talking only 50? If it's only 50, it's awfully high price. If we're talking 55 to 60%, then I can agree with the price. Classic Lottie from Brook Lottie is a good choice. No peat, very little sherry. Whoa, hold on. Classic Lottie? Classic Lottie. Classic Lottie. I could have swore that that's not smoked but peated. Let me see something. Brook Body. Because I've had that. I actually have that on the shelf back there. The classic is one of my faves as well. Oh, you're right. That is not a peated scotch, surprisingly. It must just be the malted barley they use is so sprightly that they don't even need peat for that to taste peaty. It's weird. It's like, it's intense. It's a very intense whiskey. I'm surprised that that doesn't have peat at all in it. But you nailed it, man. Unpeated. Huh. It's very sprightly. I guess it's the barley they use in it is so intense that's why it almost it's not, it definitely doesn't feel like an Octomore, but it's got that same intent, up in your face kind of note, inflation touching everything. Yeah, don't get me started. Except two TVs. Hey, good to see you, Steven, man. How you doing? What are you sipping tonight? I'm trying to catch up, man. Oh, thanks a lot, man. Good to see you there, Gerbic. Trying to find first pot pocket. What the hell's a pot pocket? Is it like a Tamagotchi? pot pot pocket doesn't sound good, man. It sounds like one of those crazy Thai things. Convenient way to carry your medicinal and recreational marijuana. Okay, I've never, I've been around a long, long time, and I've never heard of that. That is funny. Okay, well, be careful. I think you said you were in D.C. right now, man. I mean, that's legal there, I guess. So you don't really have to worry as much, but still, that's don't cross state line. That's for sure. Unless you've got the medical card, especially in Virginia, man, they'll freaking lock your ass up down there. I have the Hart Brothers 17-year malt blended finish. First fill port for your 50%. Wow. $60? That sounds like a great deal for that type of thing. Hart Brothers is one I've heard of. I've never tried their independent bottlings. Have you had lots of Hart Brothers, and are you always happy? Are you sometimes happy? Are you seldom happy? Let me know what you think about them in the long term. I'm just kind of curious. Sorry. All right. Lafroig 10, Balvenie 12, Glenmorangie La Santa, all good for blending. Yeah, that's true. I love every Thomas Brothers I've tried. That's another one of those independents you see sometimes, I believe. Oh, okay. Harbor the second to Thompson, in my humble opinion, but also great. Okay, I'll have to take that into consideration. The 17-year Thompson Space Hot brand. Okay. Yeah, no problem, man. I'll try to help you guys out as much as I can. If you ever have a question, feel free to definitely ask. I definitely don't mind trying to uh, get you guys in a certain direction. Did you pre? Did you get the pre-arrival Thomas Brothers Worthy Park? Ooh, Sherry Kespin Nevis. Oh, I bet that was damn good. Also, drinking something that you don't like as much as last tram is a great idea. Yeah, I mean that's the way I would do it because that way because sometimes you're in a you're in a roll and you're sipping and I'm gonna have another sip here myself. Making sure I get all the sips out here. I have another glass over here. Finish this one out too. um, you get on a roll and you're not necessarily to call it a night yet, but you don't want to waste your 25, even your 15-year-old stuff. You want to you know end on a good note, but you don't want to end with something that you regret that you drank. Like, could you imagine like having a great weekend and at the end of the night, you've already had a lot to drink, and then you get out your 25-year-old stuff, and then you go through the motions the next day. You're kind of like, wow, I don't even remember experiencing that much of it. It's such a letdown if you do it that way. So 55, that's a great ABV, man. I'm gonna jump all over that. Lane Thompson in my new room, Jeremy, irresistible. Cool. Just finished the classic no peat Dornock. Aaron Scotch is from the islands. Yeah, does that mean it's smoky? No, not necessarily. That is where you got to you got to be careful. The island scotches are kind of like in their own deal, and that's why some people that are purists, they don't even consider the islands their own region, which is kind of funny to me. I consider it its own region because they are kind of quirky and in their own area. Aaron's are not typically peated, but they do offer peated scotch. The Mockrimore, M-A, what is it? M-A-R-C-H-I-E, I think, or Mockimore. I'm trying to find the Mockrimore. It's Machriemoor. It's a single malt that Aaron produces that is peated. Now they're not known for their peated malts. Actually, they're more known for their regular releases, their Bothy, their quarter cask, their 21 year, 25 years, stuff like that. Not to say they don't have peated scotch. Now I've never tried it. I can't speak to what I think on that particular brand's smoky scotch. So if you've had Mockrimore, please tell us what you think of it. I'm curious for all people that are watching the show in either on the channel now. Definitely type it out. If you're not comfortable with that, send a comment after the fact and let people know what you think about Aaron's smoky or scotch, which is the Mockrimore. Island doesn't not need smoke. That's true. A lot of people think classic latte is peated. Yeah, it does have some source intensity to it. Can be being now that's something that brings up a lot of this dispute. I don't know if I should say dispute, but conversation. Let me have a chip here once again. Don't want to crunch in your head there. Um, the it can and it can have real subtleties that people can pick up on, but don't let anyone fool you that there is anything to the water of the peat and all that. Just like the Bunnahabhain 12. Now, is there any peat at all in it? There is probably some residual, extremely low, and I'm talking if there's any peat, and I'm talking after everything's factored in, if it's above 3 ppm, which is parts per million, which is extremely low, I would be surprised. Ardbeg and Lefroy, and their great intensity 10-year-olds are only 30 ppm typically, 40 ppm, somewhere around there. So if you think about it, unless it's like 10 to 15, you're not going to really notice much. And with it being literally 3 for the Bunnahabhain 12, there you go. So yes, the classic latte is not peated, and if there is any peat at all, it's the residual 2 to 3 ppm that you might be getting off the water. That's the long and short of it. I hate it when people try to say something's a peated dram, though, like the Bunnahabhain 12, and it's not necessarily. When I say something's peated, I say that with the aspect of it's peated on intentional purposes. If it's not intention, I mean, and some people I guess can argue that they're using water intentionally, but you know what I mean. Unless you actually are going through processes to peat the whiskey outside of just using water, I mean, come on. It sounds like it would give Scotch anything, give Scotch or anything on earthy flavor, which sounds good to me. Yeah, it really does. And there's different types of peat, though. I like certain types, and I don't like certain types. And one of the best examples of this is the Enoch Distillery. Enoch does not typically do peated whiskey. They are not from Isla or Campbelltown, I believe. They are a Highland, or it could be a Space Side. I think it's a Highland, but I'm going off memory. I'm just going to look it up real fast so I don't tell you guys the wrong thing. Highland. So it's a Highland. And so they're definitely not known for doing a lot of peated whiskeys. I have had Enoch peated whiskey that I like, and I've had Enoch peated whiskey that I hate. The Cutter has got a certain type of peat in it that I like a lot. The Cutter to me is a good peated whiskey. I would give thumbs up on. The Flounder is a different style. It's got this almost sauerkraut esque pickled ginger tinge to it. It's like a tang. Another one like this that I did not like was the Tomintoul Peaty Tang. It's very tangy. I'm not into the peat tang. I like an earthy peat. I like savory notes to the peat. It can be smoky. It could not be smoky. That doesn't really, lure me either way. If it's got a real tangy, twangy pickleization note with it, that's when I'm just kind of like, no, thank you. I don't mind the earthiness. I actually love it if it's done right. Love Lagavulin 16, love Lafroig 10, love Ardbeg 10, love most peated whiskeys when it comes to that. But some of those off the wall ones, man, no, thank you. It's pretty bad to me, but it is subjective. It's just like anything else. Some people love Oloroso Sherry and hate PX, and some vice versa. It's you got to find what you like, and what you don't. Has anyone had it peated? Yeah. The few reviews I've visited them give it a low rating. Yeah, I'm curious. The Montcremore is out there a lot. I've heard of some good peated ones, but I don't know. Uh, Aaron is discontinued because of all their peated. Hold on, what? I think I missed something. The single cast rooms should become. Oh, that's dumb. Aaron is discontinued because of all. of their new all. Can you reword that, man? 'Cause I'm having a trouble trying to figure out what you're trying to say there. Sorry. Are you saying that the Mockremore line is completely discontinued, or are you trying to say something else? Sorry. Yeah, peat can become your favorite over time too. In smoke, like some people love peat, don't like smoke. Vice versa, love smoke, don't like peat. Love sherry, don't like smoke or peat, or love all of it. I love smoke, peat, and sherry. I love Oloroso. I love PX. I love Fino. Manzanilla. I like it all pretty much to an extent. Only the drams that I don't really like are just the straightforward peat, nothing else, ex bourbon cask, and that's all you get. The only thing that I ever liked that was like that stood out as being actually pretty good was the full volume Holland Park 17-year was good, great. The Springbank 14 Bourbon Wood. Those are great. Oh, of course, the local barley series are great, straightforward. But those are the only ones that ever did it for me, straightforward. That I thought were great. That were just peat, nothing else, no, just ex bourbon cask. That's it. But that's just a subjective thing that I just never gravitated towards. I mean, if I have an Octomore, I'd much rather have a point two or, yeah, point two is my favorite versus the point ones or the point threes. Um, Just a nice cask influence is all I ask for. I taste peat and classic Lottie and even less in the Bourbon too, but it is there. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like 3 ppm if anything. If you're gonna try to measure it, that's for sure. Yeah, 4 ppm. That sounds about what I would think if there's any peat, but I would see that's where I get into arguments with people. I would consider the Bunnahabhain 12 an unpeated dram because it's not meant to be a smoky or peaty dram. It's just not. No matter how you want to look at the water or the way they do it, if they meant to have any peat in it, it would be at least be 10. I mean, if you're not at 10 to 15, why bother? Because it's barely detectable. It really is. It doesn't really affect the taste that much. If it was, 2 instead of 4, no one would even know. I'm telling you. I pick up a light peat in Hazelburn and they call it peat. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like, yes, is there malted, slight peat barley esque features of Scotch in general? I mean, it is there because all the water up there has has these kind of elements in it. But I don't know, man. It really it's there's a phrase for this. It's like not needle in the haystack, but it's like being overly picky about stuff. It's just come on. Having my first pour of Coreyvrecken tonight, it's a thumbs up so far. I love Coreyvrecken, man. That's one of those go-to. If you like spice, white pepper, black pepper, you like peat, you like smoke, you like it all. It's awesome. Cutter is great. Discontinued, but can still be found here for under 70. That's an awesome deal there. I mean, I like that for a peated dram. It's not Isla or Campbelltown, which is rare to find a really good one. Uh, Ben Reich has some good ones, like we were talking about earlier. Hamilton Beach Bum Berry is good, high ABV and cheap. $35 for a liter bottle. Wow, no BS in it, and it's not chill filter too. That's crazy. It sounds good. Huh. They have an all peated distillery now. Oh, that's the lag. That's the LAGG, right? Is it this one? I think it's the lag that's the new all peated distillery. So they've completely gutted the Macklemore series and they're just doing that. Cool. Okay. Well, maybe there's a reason behind it. Maybe the Macklemore stuff sucked and they were tired of hearing about it and they thought, you know what, guys, we're just going to start anew. So that can happen. I don't blame them for it if that's the case. I wish Enoch did that with their Flounder series and just focused on doing Cutter because it sounds like they discontinued the wrong one if they're still doing the Flounder versus the Cutter. But we'll see. All local barley have had some sherry. All local barley? Oh man, you are the master of Springbank. I shouldn't question you, I know, but hold on here. Springbank local barley. I gotta check this out because I could have swore that one of these did not have sherry, but I'm gonna. I should trust. I should trust Dustin. I should trust him. So far, he's right. I'm just looking at every single one of these damn. Oh, the 11-year, 53%, 53.1. This is the second release in the local barley series, showcasing terroir and the whiskey production. 11-year features bare barley from the Eros Farm on Kintyre Peninsula, double distilled, matured in ex-bourbon casks before being bottled in a natural cask strength of 53.1. So I think that might be one that's not sherry, Dustin. You have to check it for me and make sure I'm not misleading you. But I think there's an 11-year that is the second release that, yeah, because all the other ones have sherry. You're right. But I think that one might be one of those because the 2020 is 100% sherry matured. I know that, but I think the 11-year is the one that might be. That's the only one I can find, to be honest with you. That's not. It probably just didn't. I mean, it's not. It's the second release. I mean, who's gonna find it? It's not like it makes a big difference anyway. So I know what you mean, but I had a feeling there was one I remember being released because I was looking heavily after the 16-year, and I already had the 10. I was looking for another one. I think I kind of thought about the 11, but I didn't gravitate to it because it was no sherry involved. I prefer a sherry involvement with it, but the sherry that's in the local barleys to me is extremely low. Do you when other than I mean I'm talking about I had the 10. I think was the one that um it's only 30%. Maybe that's why. But the 10-year-old that I had just did not have any sherry notes that screamed at me whatsoever. I thought it was a straight up like a more along the lines of a 14-year-old bourbon, wood deal. But I don't know. Like it's an awful name. Let me go back. Sorry, I missed some of these deals. Guyana, Jamaica, and Trinidad. Interesting. I don't even try, Gary, so don't feel bad, man. What's an approximately $80 good scotch where the peat stands out for a scotch beginner so I can get a good idea of what peat can be like? Wow, $80. Just straightforward peat. I have to say, I think I would send you towards the Lagavulin 8. Maybe. Let me see. And it usually gets great reviews. Even though I'm not a huge fan of it per se, the people that like straightforward peat typically gravitate towards that bottle. For $80, I think that's about what you can. Let me do a quick lane searcher scan for the Lagavulin 8. I'm thinking that's about that. Yeah, 70-ish. Yeah. 70 to 80 tops, I would say. Um, Straightforward, in your face peat without being overly aggressive too. It's not as medicinal as Lefroy 10, even though Lefroy 10s is a great peated scotch. Definitely not knocking it. One of my favorites. Ardbeg is very citrusy, lemon lime forward. If you're not a lemon lime fan, you're not going to like the Ardbeg 10 very much. The Lagavulin 8's good because it doesn't really have a lot of anything else in your face than a straightforward peated scotch, nice vanilla fruit, your typical ex-bourbon notes. But it's also, since it is so basic, it doesn't really have a lot of flair either. So I'd say Lagavulin 8's where I would probably send you. What do you guys think on the on some on recommending an $80 just straightforward peated scotch for a beginner? Other than the Lagavulin 8, what would you recommend? Ardmore is also a Highland Peat Scotch. Yes, the 20 I've been sipping. It's really good actually. I do like that the Ardmore 20. That's an awful name, yeah. I know it means something in Gaelic, but it sounds like Lagavulin cut off at the legs. That's true. They should have thought about that before they chose that name. But it's because of the city. It's an actual area that it's in the same islands area there. But uh, I don't know. Well, there is a legacy, which is an NAS, but there is a 20-year, but it's not going to be $80. You're going to have to spend some money to get the 20-year peated version. I would not suggest that as a first scotch for anybody. It's just too expensive. The 9-year comes off mostly bourbon. Tins both use the sherry to add some nuance, but not an overly sherry barrel. Yeah, it's very subtle in the sherry that they use, which yeah, I guess some people get off on that. But if I want a sherry, I would want something that's got some actual sherry character to it. That's just me. All those local barleys are auction are crazy money. Yeah, it's fucking nuts. I've only had any bottle of Ardmore 10 to 12 years in age, but I've heard the distillery bottle non-age statement honestly is also good and affordable. Is it peated? Do they peat that NAS? I never tried it, so let me know, Andrew, if that's a peated one. The Holland Park 12 is another one I'd say. Like 8 or the standard 16. Yeah, if you can get it for, I mean, $80, it's hard to get it anymore. It's usually 90 from what I've seen, the Lagavulin 16. But yeah, Lagavulin 16, the 16's got sherry in it. He doesn't like sweetness. That's why I'm thinking I would stick him towards the Lagavulin 8 because it's less sweet than the 16. That's just me. The 10 is the best peat in the bottle just because it's clearly what peat is from Ardbeg. You know, Lagavulin mixing, that smoke and confused. That's not a bad statement. That's true, Dustin. But the thing about Ardbeg 10 though is it's so intense comparatively to the Lagavulin 8. I mean, I see. I'm not a big lemon lime fan, and that's why, if it was me, I was still, you know what, the NO. Even though people are gonna hate me for it, the Ardbeg NO is a sweet mint white ashtray dram. I prefer the NO than the 10. Some people think I'm crazy. It's just subjective that I do not like lemon lime flavor, and it to me the Ardbeg Tim screams citrus lemon lime, so that's why I would prefer the NO. But uh, would I much rather have a 10-year-old than an NES? Yes, but I'm trying to say the flavor. Clearly 12 is very good, but man, it's tough to find cheap $80 anymore. I've seen it for 90 a lot, which is really crazy, asinine. No way. The thing about Kalila 12 that you also have to be prepared for is that maritime seashell earthy note that you get. And some people, yes, some people no. Spelling please for what? Which one are you asking about? Disappear. Sorry, I'm trying to help you. For an ADP to get the art, yeah, I don't know. Ugadal, yes. Port Charlotte vintage. If he's lucky, he could probably find it for that price. But yeah, the Ugadal, but it's got sherry. He doesn't like sweet drams. You got to take that to account. If I give someone that doesn't like sweetness, the Ardbeg Ugadal versus the Lagavulin 8, they're going to pick the Lagavulin 8 because the Ardbeg Ugadal with the smoke and peat, it's also got a lot of that sweet sherry involved with it. And he's not necessarily a sherry fan just yet. So you got to kind of introduce your peat first, then introduce your sherry after the fact. I would think that's what he sounded like he was shooting for, more smoke than peat. The 8 to me was more peat. Well, it's kind of a combination of peat and smoke. That's the Port Charlotte 10 would be a good start, and that's what Steven said too. Yeah, the Port Charlotte 10, if you could find it for $80, that's the catch. That's the weird one. The 12 it's got that heathery peat and it's subtle. I would say that's a great bottle to start with. Lagavulin 8's what got Chris into Isla. That's why I chose it. Yeah, try the Holland Park 12 and the Lagavulin 8 and the Port Charlotte 10. Those are the three bottles disappear that I would try. So I'm gonna type it out for you. The Lagavulin 8, the Port Charlotte, I think it's 10 or NAS, and also the what was the other one we were talking about? We just said it. Kalila 12 maybe. That's a really good start, I'd say, if you can find it for the price. Kalila 12. Straightforward Pete. Oh, the Bunnahabhain Choichek, the first edition, not the Ada, not the second. Bunnahabhain, Una, even type. Not 12, but the first toy check. That was straightforward Pete, no frills. Any of those, I would say, are, if you're looking for straightforward Pete, nothing else in your face, easy to get into. The Highland Park 12, yes, and Highland Park 12. Those the Balvenie Week of Pete is great, but it is over $80, unfortunately. But I'd say if you go with the ones I just typed out, the Lagavulin 8, Port Charlotte or NAS, whatever you can get that's under 80 or 80 and under, Kalila 12, Bunnahabhain, the first Choichek, make sure it's not the Ada, the second release, because that does have sherry in it. Holland Park 12. If you could find a Balvenie Week of Pete at a reasonable price, yeah, it is overpriced. And that's what's tough about the 12. It's like it used to be 65, $70 typically. And then it crept and crept. Now it's 85, 90, I think, at this point, in a lot of places. But if you do your homework, I think you can do, you know, find it for a reasonable 77 for Holland Park cast strength. So 97 in the rest of the country seems likely. Oh wow. Is that where you are in near Kentucky, Ohio, Dustin, or where are you seeing the 77 for the Highland Park cast strength? That's surprisingly, you would think, a good price, but I've heard mixed reviews on the Highland Park stuff. Unfortunately, they have, I know, different releases. Just like Glendronach's got their cast strength release, batch 1, batch 2. They're up to like some crazy number, I think, now. But trying to think of hmm. I think we covered the bases on that pretty much. Interesting. Everything's going up. They're printing too much money and depreciating our purchasing power. Oh man, we're gonna get into it. I can feel it. Yeah, don't get me started on what's going on in the world today, Gary. All I can say is I know exactly what you mean, and it scares me, and I hope to God that things change soon. That's all I can say. Mm. On that note, I really appreciate you guys coming by. It's always fun and hanging out and drinking. We are going to take a look next week. Eric's not going to be able to be around, but I'm going to do a comparison series. At first, I thought about doing the bottle quest thing. It's overly complicated, and with the prices the way they are, and it's just up and down. It's just too crazy. So I figured I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to pick two bottles that are not necessarily exactly the same, but comparable within reason. This was tough. I went out and I already knew I wanted to get myself for this winter season an Abelauer Abana bottle, which is a cast strength option from Abelauer. Not my favorite distillery, um, but I've had good batches, 53, 55, 63 of the Abana. And I found a 65, I believe it was, which is actually thankfully on the lower age thing. They're still doing batches, and they get higher in number. Um, if you can get a 50 to 60, that's where I would stay, because that's where you get your clove kind of notes, and some really interesting things that you might or be looking for that you don't get in some of the later batches that I've noticed myself. And I wanted something to compare it to. So I was thinking, what can I get? So I just went to a local place that wasn't a frou-frou place. It was just a basic but decent liquor store that had scotch, right? So I go in and I found my Abelauer Abanon. I'm happy, and it's around 110 tops. It's somewhere around what you'd expect, especially for a cast strength, whiskey. Wish it had an age statement, but that's a whole other thing. I'm like, what can we get to compare this at all to? And it's a Laroso sherry. So I was, you know, also came across the new Lefroy Carriages, which is a PX bottle. And I'm thinking, ooh, well, I wish I could find another PX bottle to go with this one, because I definitely want the new Carriages. On the other hand, they're both sherry. I could talk about the differences between the Oloroso sherry from the Abana and the PX Carriages, the new, Lefroy. Same price. One's got peat, one doesn't. I could talk about, some of the differences between those two, and some of that. So we're going to get into a comparison of the Abelard Abana and the Lefroy Carriages new PX series that just came out recently. We'll be doing that next week. And then following that, I'm not sure if Eric's going to be able to be around, but we're going to try to do a three for Benromic show. We've got 3 drams of Benromic. We're going to be taking a close look at some point. If we do the comparison show and he's not available the next time to do it, I'll find something else to compare. If you guys have something that you'd like to see me compare, if it's pretty easy to find and not a crazy amount, let me know. The Glenelg 10 cast strength, it's a PX from what I remember. A Sherry Monster, yes. It was not at the same place, unfortunately, not as easily found. That's one you kind of have to do a little more digging usually to find. But I'm not opposed to trying that out. I think it's a cheaper than $100 too, if I remember right on the price point of that. Don't quote me on it, but let me see what the going rate for the Glen Key, which is actually not a bad thing at all. I'm just I could get 110. I guess that's they have all these cast strength batches and whatnot. We recently did a cast strength 10 review, so that made it a little different as well. That's why I didn't go into that one, but that's not a bad one to compare if you're gonna to compare PX maybe versus PX. The 10 cast strength versus the carriages would be interesting. So I don't know if I'll be able to find it before then, but if I can, I might try to pick one up just to do on the side with it. Maybe a three-way comparison, even though, or just change the Abanat to the Glenelg 10 and go with that with the since they're both PX, I believe. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Oh, yeah, you got that for a steal. It's literally 110 here in Maryland, dude. No joke. So California prices are to die for. I wish to God I knew why it's so crazily more expensive here versus California. I mean, I know why it's the importing thing, but why can't we import directly into New York or Maryland? I mean, there's got to be a reason for that shit. Hey, Whiskey Throttle, good to see you, man. What's going on? Just dabbling in some mediocre whiskey tonight with Glen Grant 12 and 18. Do love the 15 cast strength. I'm not sure if you've had the Glen Grant 15 cast strength. It's the only one that I like from the distillery. What about you, Daniel? A three-way, yeah. It could happen. It could. You have to stay tuned next week. I think a future show comparing in different indie bottlings of the same Scotch music. Yeah, we'll be doing that too. Definitely. I'm at the same time that I'm getting some of these jewelry bottles I'm still collecting, I am going to get into a lot of independent bottlings of the same distillery from different players, like an Adelphi versus a Alexander Murray versus a Signatory versus a Single Cash Nation of the same distillery. That would be really cool, something like that. Not California taxes, hell no. Look at your drinks too, man. Cali liquor stores and whole alcohol industry is oddly one of the most capitalist state systems in the country. Oh, they don't suck. Cali prices are fucking awesome comparatively. Usually, unless you're dealing with certain distilleries, I've noticed are kind of weird. Uh, but mediocre. You are not a big Glen Grant fan, dude. I know better. You've got stuff that people. Yeah, you're not a huge Glen Grant fan. Okay, if you are, what's your favorite offering, and tell me why? Because the craft is just not here, man. Coloring, chill filtration. At least you got an age statement, but you barely have an ABV at 43%. No, thank you. I am not a snob. I just expect my whiskey to be well crafted, like anybody else that's spending, $100 here, maybe even more there. It's just, it's crazy. Texas is one of the most socialized systems outside. It's like, I don't know, man, but all I know is that I want to be able to import whiskey to Maryland and make it cheap, make it fast, make it happen. Just like Tony Beats says, let's make this happening, man. Oh my, sorry. With that note, I appreciate you guys. Excuse me, coming down and I don't know how you say that the prices suck in California, man, comparatively. Yes, I love the 15 comparatively to the 18 and the 12. The 15 is the whiskey to get if you're a Glen Grant fan and you want a distillery bottle. I would definitely go with the 15. I do have a review that's more in depth on the 15. Just do a search Glen Grant 15 Telex. It'll come right up for you. Watch the show, and you'll get a good review out of that one. Kittenhead's Glen Grant class strength bottlings get great reviews. I bet they do. Yeah, you guys have crazy great prices. He's out of his mind. 22 year. Yeah, if you want to talk about prices, come to Maryland and we'll talk about especially Glendroney prices are in uh Heart started 9.88. Yes. Yes. Now you're talking Whiskey Throttle. Whiskey Throttle and I have been lucky enough to partake in some SMWS bottles. If you're not familiar, Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. Don't belong to them at the moment. I might rejoin because I am going to get back into independent whiskey. I'm debating it. They have sent me some deals on the side, trying to coerce me to coming back. And I will say, after having lots of distillery bottles, there are some winners, but there's a lot of losers out there. And between Adelphi and SMWS and some of these independent offerings, man, it's just the way to go. But you have to do your homework and have to know which ones to invest in. Even as a drinker, you really have to know, especially with this shipping prices and shit the way they are. God help us all. Such sucks in Ohio, yeah. Prices can be good, but man, I don't know. Compared to California, man, it's crazy. Well, yeah. I mean, I will say the best Glen Grant bottles I've ever had are SMWS bottles. That says a lot right there. So I'm just saying, if you're gonna get a distillery bottle, I would go with that. I've not tried the 5 decades. I have had the Tomatin decades, which is really great. That is in the Glen Grant exclusive line. It's not their core. Um, Might be worth an investment. I have to take a look at that one. The best Scotch out there would be super dry, slightly smoky, slightly earthy, hint of chocolate, bit nutty, maybe a couple things I don't know exist. It's out there, and I hope to find it someday. I'm surprised you went a super dry whiskey because to me, I don't like super dry. A slight smoke, slight earthy, dark hint of dark chocolate, a bit nutty, and maybe a couple things. You might want to start out with this actually, because this one was very, very dry, especially with a couple drops of water. It had I don't know if I'd say slight smoke. It's slightly earthy because it has that almondy note, which is a bit nutty. It has a hint of dark chocolate. It's the couple things you don't know exist. I mean, that's where I kind of have to draw the line and be like, maybe not. I mean, if you could find a Dalmore 18 for like a really low price for like 120, 130, which it's really hard to find, it might be worth it. Never pay 220 for their scotch. It's way too overpriced. I don't know, man. It's a tough one. You're either too much of a snob to be a member or too cheap. Well, I'm too cheap right now. That's for sure. But I mean, the thing about independent whiskey, you gotta. I mean, I've had some whiskey that I've invested in with SMWS that wasn't necessarily up my alley, but it wasn't bad whiskey. It just wasn't exactly what I was looking for, and it's hard to get into it once you got the bottle and you spent the money and the shipping's already done. It's like, well, it's not really what I wanted, but I can't return it. I can't like be like, oh, shucks, or I don't want to definitely want to give it away. So it's kind of a independent whiskey is tough to me because it's still a crapshoot unless you get an Adelphi or a proven consistently great um, independent bottler, man. It's really still a crapshoot. The Old Green Gate could be fantastic. The Cimaroli 1959, I'm sure. I've had a Cimaroli, and they do some really good independent bottling. So if you ever do run across a Cimaroli, I would definitely recommend it, as I've had several, and they've always been pretty good. They're usually top dollar too, but you get what you pay for when it comes to that stuff sometimes. Uh, yeah, Kano High Times Mission Remedy are good for, yeah, those are awesome places if they ship to you. That's the catch. And they don't ship anymore, sadly, to Maryland, which I don't understand why. They shipped, they don't ship, they shipped, they don't ship. They keep changing their fucking minds all the time. Drives me crazy. Whiskey Base started doing that shit too, where I got whiskey from them, and all of a sudden they're like, we can't ship to the U.S. anymore. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? It's crazy. So I found an advent calendar for $1,000. Ooh, Bunnahabhain 40, a Talisker 41, Glentour at 30, Port Dundas 43, Fettercairn 28, Glen Ord 38, but 1,000. No, dude, no. I mean, this is the way I would look at it. From what you just said, the Bunnahabhain 40, that's a yes. The Talisker 41, that's a yes. The Glentour at 30, to me, that's still a yes. The Port Dundas 43, grain, not for me, unless you're a huge grain fan. Fettercairn, I haven't had any of their stuff yet. It's on my list to do. Glen Ord I've had. It's very vegetal. I'm not sure if a 38 year would even save them. You've got three great ones and three and for $1,000, man, I would have to. That's a hard pass on that for me. But what it says is that Australia has the ability and potential, but the owners or marketing department won't let them. Yeah, yeah. I won't disagree with that. There's some crazy deals at Cannon. Oh, dry, just not too sweet. Well, that's different, man. Because like if I taste a dram and it's drying like this guy, especially with the water, oh, I've got to do it now just to have some more. It it just like saps up your palate's strength. I mean, that's what's really weird about this one. It's got this like it's got a great nose. That's the best thing about this 18. The nose is fantastic, but the rest of it, man, Not so much. It's soft rock. It's a ballad. It's like, LA Guns in the freaking late 80s. It's just not for me. If you're gonna give me a ballad, give me something that's got at least some power in it. Shit. Even with a couple of drops of water, it really dries up that palate at the end. I mean, finish is great, but it's just too dry. If you're just talking sweetness, though, that's a whole other thing. That I would say savory, not don't say dry, because if you say dry, that's a whole nother connotation. It's a whole nother meaning to me. The opposite of sweet to me would be savory. As I'm definitely not a fan of dry drams, that's for sure. Dustin is asking. I mean, it sounds. I'm not saying it's overpriced per se, but would I invest $1,000 in three good bottles and three iffy bottles, and depending on what else is in there, that's crazy. 24 1 ounce pours. You're like a drug addict looking for that first perfect high. I love it, man. No, but just from the bottles you mentioned, I have to pass. You need to check out all the Alliance and order some samples from them. Yeah, it is interesting, Dustin. I'm not knocking you for the. I would think the same thing if because I love the intrigue of something I'm not really sure about in a high age. It's like wow, that's a great. It sounds pretty good, man. Oh, you're full of it, dude. Come on. I say that even after been to their warehouses and distillery. Dude, all I'm saying is from my personal experience, and I've had my share of independent bottles, I get many more winners with Adelphi than I do with Alexander Murray or Barry Brothers and Rudd or Gordon MacPhail or, you know, even exclusive malts. I mean, they are usually pretty good, but I like a sweet sherried whiskey, and they do a lot of good sherried whiskey. So maybe that's the difference. I don't know, but regulation and inflation. I love it, man. Gary and I need to form a club. That's a whole other discussion, though. I can't alienate some of our fellow whiskey brethren here because they don't see it the same way we do, Gary. Stephen Connor, their pours at half an ounce and crazy expensive. Ooh, I wouldn't base any bottles on the SMW experience. There are many great bargains. Fun. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm just saying if SMWS is different because they charge for the shipping piece and for the membership versus just going to a whiskey, place like a store and buying it in bottling. It's a completely different experience. It's a much bigger investment joining them. I'm not saying that's not worth it. I've had a great experience with SMWS, and I'm actually considering rejoining them because of the great experience. I'm just saying that I don't look at it as something for the beginning whiskey drinker unless they have a lot of money to spare because it's very expensive comparatively to just buying what you want to buy after doing your own little research on it. I don't know. I mean, I know you can do it with their bottles too, to an extent, but a lot of their stuff is brand spanking new, and you got to get it within the 100 bottles that they have, or it's all gone. They are 95% always great, so it's kind of like it's not an easy decision no matter how you look at it, unless you're rich. Remedy is a really shady on certain things like the hard to get bourbons and some Japanese and scotches. It's weird how cheap one thing is, and another one is a ripoff, mostly bourbon. Yeah. Yeah, Remedy's got great prices on Scotch. I cannot speak to their bourbons or Japanese, but man, they usually have some great prices on Scotch, and I wish to God I could order from them. Grant, I'd rather have some of their HOF pours. That's where I got the 40-year Glen Grant. Okay, Summerall, yeah. Disagree how you went. I got a Louisville Slicker with your name on it. Well, I got a Louisville Fist with your name on it. How about that, buddy? I gotta meet up with Dan. I gotta get my ass to Moose Jaw in Saskatchewan at some point. Is that where you are, man? Where are you at? I might have to come find you. Like that's a nice analogy. Yeah. Ballad of Jane. This is that just doesn't cut it for me. I need something a little bit more bite to it, even as a ballad. It's got to have a little meat on the bones. Can't just be all fluff and sugar spice. It's hard to even nose a whiskey properly at half an ounce. That's true, man. It's really true. At first I thought, I'll pour things really small, but I mean, unless you've got a decent pour like this is like the smallest pour I like to do, because unless you really, really want to dig in there and go off every little nuance, man, it's tough. Yeah. LA Guns versus GNR, man, is a whole different thing. That's why I grab an ounce. Yeah. It can get crazy expensive. Actually, no, you're right. It's like comparing Poison to GNR. It's two different bands, man. I can't believe Germany has JD Barrel strength for 53 and BT stuff marked up at, wow, that's crazy, over $100. This is why I stay away from bourbon, man. Unless someone tells me, hey, you need to buy this and it's really good, I wouldn't even go there. Hibiki Harmony for 68 at one place and $100 at another. That's crazy. 68, yes. $100, fuck no. It's an NAS, for God's sakes, guys. We can all try our models of the outturns up here. 2 liquors in the what? We can try all bottles of the outturns up here. 2 liquors in this province. I don't even know how to translate that. Can I get a Saskatchewanian translator for Daniel? I have no idea what he just said. Are you in Manitoba, man? Are you like in Winnipeg or something? Did you go up to the Northwest Territory? Are you in that Inuvit? What is that? What is that city called? I actually talked to somebody up there recently on my I do ham radio on the side for fun. VEHGER. Believe it or not, this guy, Victor Echo 8 Golf Echo Romeo. I was out in the park activating. I talked to people all over the world with my radio. This guy out of the blue, calls me, answers my call, and he's up in the city. Literally, it's way up there. Inuvik, Inuvik. I'm not sure how you say that. I think it's Inuvik, like an Inuit, Inuvik. It's up there, like the northernmost most part of the Yukon Territory, but it's in the Northwest Territories technically, and it's I couldn't believe I was talking to this guy. It's crazy, but anyway, I got off on a tangent. I have seen that too. No clue who buys it at their price. Yeah, good as much thoughts, right? You're not Musa, you liar. Hakushu Distillers Reserve 350 here in Cali and less than 80 in the UK. They get you Californians on the Japanese whiskey. That's where it gets you on that one. Never seen that for sale. No clue how rare it is in the States. We have 2 SMWS liquor stores that carry. Yeah, I remember that, man. You guys have your own luck. These guys are lucky up there, man. They don't have to fucking do the whole delivery bullshit. They just tell their store that's local to them, hey, just order this for me, and they get it. I guess I could if I was closer to DC, I could do that through that with Jack Rose, I believe, is SMWS official. I'll have to look into that. I think they're still an official place. I wonder if they could get bottles and do a distribution there, maybe by like every other month or something. Maybe I'll have to look into. That's a good idea, Daniel. I'll have to look into that, see if that's an option, because that could cut a lot of cost out over time. Canada pays too much for Scotch, so it can't become knowledge on them all in a lifetime. Okay, Destin is below 12 year accuracy. Oh yeah, 300. Knowledge by example. That is, yeah. Oh man. On that note, we're gonna. Uh, you guys are all over the place now. I'm not even sure what that is. I'll have to look that one up, Andrew. I'm aware of what it is, just don't know if it's rare in the States. I've never seen it. Yeah. A lot of store prices bottles keep on some of the shelf. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get back into the independent game, and just to come full circle here. Yeah, I mean, this is a great example of a distillery that you try to find a good bottle from the distillery. 10, 12 didn't do it for me. 18 didn't even really do it for me. The 15 cast strength is where I would go for the distillery. And Daniel said, with the SMWS bottles, they have some great Glen Grant bottles. I remember over the years having a couple, and they're all being pretty good. I think that's the thing with SMWS. I'm gonna have to stay away from the intriguing, weird peated bottlings that I'm not quite sure if I'd like. That's the catch with them. Like, if you know you like sherry or whatever, you're getting into it and you know what you're getting into, they always deliver. It's just that when you're not quite sure and you take too much of a gamble, and it's on any independent bottle or distillery or anything, it's a risk, and there are risks versus rewards. So you know, it's that's a tough one, man. Yeah, we'll have to have a separate conversation, Gary, on the side, because you and I think are think a lot alike when it comes to certain deals. I'll put it that way. And man, let's just hope for a better year. Is all I can say at this point. I bet we have some. I bet we have Scotch up here cheaper than some states. Oh yeah, I'm sure you guys do. Especially in Alberta, man. Alberta's got some really good prices in Canada, from what I've heard. They have a lot, yeah. Both are rare in the U.S., but low-level whiskey doesn't warrant $100. Yeah, I'm looking for something for Christmas. Don't tell disappear. I think he wants a couple, either Scotch or whatever. I'll let him speak for himself on that. See what he says. I'll order a couple of scotches. He's wanting to. Daniel, in a nutshell, he was looking for some stuff to get into from the get go. He doesn't like sweet scotch. He's not sure about peat, but he wants to try to get into peat. I said maybe start with several options: Lagavulin 8, Holland Park 12, Bunnahabhain, the Choichek, the first edition. Um, and the Port Charlotte, either 10 or whatever NAS they have. That's He's looking for $80. So if you can get a scotch that's $80, that's got peat, no sweetness, straightforward, what would you offer outside of what I just said? And I think you know where Alberta is, man. Come on. Yeah, those are the ones I gave him earlier. I think he's looking for any residual ideas to shoot for. But I mean, that's 5 great scotches. You got your Bunnahabhain Choichek #1, not the Adab, but the first one. You've got the Highland Park 12. You got the Port Charlotte 10 or NAS. You've got Lagavulin 8. You've got yeah, I'd say the Deanston Virgin Oak. Is that the one you're talking about? Is that peated though? I don't think it's. Is it? I don't think it's peated. Is it? Or which Virgin Oak peat are you talking about? Out of curiosity. Yeah, no problem, man. I really appreciate you hanging out with us and getting good ideas, because these are the guys to get the ideas from, really, that will honestly try to steer you right and not try to mess with you. No, it's not. What's no, it's not. Oh yeah. Which one are you talking about? Virgin Oak. What? I thought you were talking about Deanston at first, but it's not peated. So which virgin oak peat are you referring to? Oh, the Octomore 7. Well, you're going all his name's Whiskey Throttle for a reason. He's putting you in the deep end of the pool. He's like, we're not going to start you out with Lagavulin 8 or Port Charlotte 10 or Kalila 12 was the other one I mentioned. He's going Octomore 7-1. It's a great scotch, but you're not going to be able to find that for $80, man. Unfortunately, I wish you could. If you know a way to get that for him for $80, dude, I'll be all for hearing, but I don't think that's going to happen on that one. Talisker 10, yes. Now the thing about Talisker 10 Disappear, I will say it's not a sweet scotch. It is peated. It's got smoke. It's very peppery. It's got white and black pepper kind of in the midst. It's got some maritime seashell notes, but it's mostly a peppery, nicely peated. I love it. I love Talisker 10, but you got to be ready for the white and black pepper, I think, on that one. If you like white and black pepper, if you like a spicy kind of a sense with your peat, that's a really good one to try. And you can get it for about $80. Probably a little cheaper, maybe 70, but that is one I would put on your try list. It's definitely not going to, be horror. I mean, if you can get it without buying a whole bottle, that's always the best option. If you got a speakeasy or some sort of decent bar in your neighborhood that's got this kind of stuff, I would go there first. But if not, if you got any decent Scotch place, you might be able to, talk them into giving you a small dram pour to see what you think about it. But I've seen the John Wayne movie where he throws the boy into the river to teach him how to swim. No, but that's how my dad taught me how to swim, so I can relate. Yeah, Talisker might be a try if you like white and black pepper. If you like a little bit of a spicy kick, Lecheg 10. Ooh, that's a good. That's a great idea. Great peat, no sherry, not sweet, in your face. If you can get it less for $80, not the easiest to find. I will say that. In my area, it's easy. And I've heard on the West Coast it's harder to find. I'm not sure what Disappear is, but Lecheg, that LEDAIG 10, look for that. That's an awesome bottle. For Pete's sakes, just try them all. Yeah, yeah. If you can, I'd say the Lecheg 10 is extremely underrated and great. That's a go-to. That's a definite go-to. Hondo. Yeah. Hondo's awesome. That's my one of my dad's, like, if he likes you, he'll call you a Hondo. That's the way it goes, man. Oh, it's always good to see you guys. I really appreciate you stopping by, having fun with the channel. I do have to work tomorrow, unfortunately. Boo hoo, I know. First world issues, but I had a great time as always, and I will see you next Tuesday. Like I said, Eric won't be here, but we'll be doing a comparison show, and I might try to pick up the Glenallachie 10PX just for a comparison. But if I can't, we'll at least look at two sherried monsters: the Abelauer Abinah versus the Lafroig PX Carriages, the new one, 2021 series this year. And can't wait to have fun with you guys. Then cheers to Steven. Quiet man, love the fist fight. Yeah, we're going for it, man. I'm heading to Moose Jaw tonight. It might take me how many hours? Let's see, how many hours would it take to drive to Moose Jaw? I'm just curious. Now I'm kind of see what you did, man. Now I'm like looking up weird shit on the internet just for fun. I'm going to Moose Jaw, even though he's not even fucking there. Directions. I'm driving. I'm gonna drive to Moose Jaw. I'm gonna guess without looking. I'm gonna think. Let's see. That's like Chicago kind of shit, but even farther up. So I'm thinking minimum 12 plus another 6, maybe 18 hours. I'm gonna say 18 hours. Oh, I wasn't even close. This is a lot more. 29-hour drive, 1,882 miles. Jeez. Oh man, could you imagine? I gotta go through freaking Maryland and then Ohio, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota. Finally get to Saskatchewan, and through I call it Regina, but you gotta say Regina for some reason. I don't like that. I don't like that name. So anyway, we're going to Moose Jaw. Who's coming with me to Moose Jaw to meet up with Daniel? The Oban 18 and Glenlivet 1843. We got to get you some better scotch, man. Not to knock the 18 or the Glenlivet, but the Oban or the Glenlivet, but we got to expand your horizons. Do not buy the Glenfarclas. I know what I'm in for if I do end up getting it. I know it's sad. I'd much rather have a family cast that's affordable, that's got an age statement on it, but please find me one, is all I can say. Yeah, very different whiskeys, that's for sure. Maybe I could fill in for Malt Muser. That's cool. I don't mind. I'll definitely send you an invite. Hopefully, you found an old dusty Abana. Yes, I did, thankfully. So I hope some of these suggestions guys can compare. Can't wait to try a couple. Yeah, all the ones we sent you, dude, are great beginning peat, not sweet, no sherried scotches that are right up. I think you would like. If you didn't like them, I'd be surprised. When you get there, let me know. I'll give you another 8 hours to get to me. His ass is in Calgary. I bet he's in fucking Calgary. That mother. I made a cinnamon sample of the 54 batch of the Abana. Ooh, that is a great whiskey, man. I was lucky enough. My first Abana was the 53, which is right before that one. And that one, I remember, had this glorious. I used to smoke, and I used to remember smoking clove cigarettes, and it had this great clove cigarette finish that you can't get off anything older than like a 50 to early 60s batch. You just can't get it anymore. It's so good. But, it is apple hour, so we'll put it that way. I'm going to recommend a plain. He's probably not in Calgary. He's probably up in freaking Edmonton or even worse. He's probably way up there. And what is that city called? It's way up there. Indian cabins. He's probably like an Indian cabins on the border, way up there, freaking Alberta. That's where his ass is. That's why he said, "Where's Alberta?" That's where he is. I guarantee it. See, I've already located you. There's probably 2 feet of snow in that part of Canada right now. That's true. Just give up on the Farkless. I know what you mean, man. It's definitely not all fun, but I do like to say that I'm traveling around and hitting every possible good option there is out there. I got the 17 up there, and it was, I did like the 15 better, which is weird. I've had the 25 before. I've had good ones. I've had bad ones. There's batch variation involved. I'm praying if I do take the chance to get it, I'll get a good one. But used to be a hangout for Al Capone. Bought lots of whiskey there, and they even have an Al Capone tunnel tour. That's crazy. Just look for older Glentronic over Glenfarclas. No, I know. I mean, this is not necessarily the quest for the best sherried whiskey. It was the quest for the best Glenfarclas that I could get. Trying to give them a chance to halfway redeem themselves for the deal. But yeah, I mean, it is tough. 39. Wow. That's crazy, dude. 25 was sent to me by a very expensive subscription service my wife gave me for that 50th birthday. Glad to have tried it, but don't buy it. Yeah, no, I know. I've had it before. I've had it on 3 different occasions. The first time I had it, I enjoyed it, but yes, it wasn't like the be all end all. It did suffer from variation after the fact. It is really it's a tough one. Not a good investment. I will say that. First fill of sherry, yeah, family cast, the only way to go with Glenfarclas. No, I agree, but the price is just as crazy. It could look funny one for a good price, yeah. The batch 6 of the Glenellicky. Ooh. Yeah. On the first fill of sherries, yeah, it's tough, man. It sounds like more of a quest of waste money on whiskey. Yeah, no, I know. It is what it is. It's, not saying they cheat, but they only s- yeah, no, I know what you mean. The 1968 family cask. Yeah. That probably is, man. I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, on one hand, it's tough to get. I mean, for 225 to get a 25-year-old whiskey, it's really tough to get it for that price. I mean, but you do get what you pay for. That is the gist of it. It's like, I don't know, man. It's a it, I'll have to think about it, I guess, on that one. Yeah, 72 and 90 and the 92. Yeah, the Macallan 50s and 60s are probably on the head of that, or 70-year-old Macallans, whatever. I'm sure they're out there. But anyway, with that said, I've said it like already. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, guys. Thanks for coming. I'm going to think before I pull the trigger. I'm definitely getting that Bladnock Talia 25. No one's talking me out of that because that's cast strength, and that's probably good whiskey because I love the 15 Bladnock Adela. So I love the Adela. I'm gonna try that Talia. It might not be as good as I'm thinking, but it's got a great ABV. Price is a little high, but wow. Yeah, if I had Steve's collection, I'd burn mine. Now I know what you mean, man. He does have a hell of a collection. That's the problem. That is the problem. I'm enjoying it, but yeah, I am kind of not too happy about the tired, worn out, overused kit. But I've had good ones. I'm pretty sure I've had good ones in that. We'll have to see, man. Thanks so much, guys, for coming by. We'll see you next Tuesday, and I think we'll be at least doing the Abenat with the Carriages PX. I'll try to see if I can find a Glen Aleck E10 on the side. See you then next Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern.